Chapter 1972. After a long while, the Duanmu Qingtian stared at Qi Feihong with burning eyes. Then, he shook his head and said coldly, "Assist Sui well in the future. If I find out that you are up to no good, I will break your tendons and grind your bones, in order to relieve the hatred in my heart." He clenched his teeth hatefully. When he thought of the arduous journey that had lasted for dozens of years, his anger rose again. Sui and the Golden Fire Beast King standing at the side were a little embarrassed. No one could understand the pain in the Duanmu Qingtian's heart. Sui immediately closed his mouth and did not want to be comforted. The Golden Fire Beast King's eyes flickered. He was shocked by the Duanmu Qingtian's aura. His face twitched. Sui smiled faintly and said, "You are quite perceptive. All right, what should I call you in the future?" The Golden Fire Beast King did not dare to act rashly. He said respectfully, "Master, you can call me anything. This little one does not dare to disobey." Sui nodded. He and the Golden Fire Beast King knew what this place meant. Even if they were not convinced before, they had already disappeared the second they entered the space. His gaze fell on the Golden Fire Beast King's broad chest. Its bulging muscles shone like steel. 2 long fangs protruded from its ferocious face. Its aura was domineering and ferocious. There was no doubt that it was a strong monster. Sui was glad that he had taken it as his subordinate. Sui raised his chin, a light flashing in his deep eyes as he casually said, "I have the Bawang sect in the Sky Barbarian realm. It should have about 70 to 80,000 people. If everything goes well, I will have 2 legions, the Overlord Legion and the Sky Demon Legion. The Sky Demon Legion is made up of strong monsters. It is the core military force of the Sky Demon Temple, a branch of the Bawang sect." Next, Sui briefly explained the structure of the Bawang sect to the Golden Fire Beast King. Duanmu Qingtian was a little stunned as he listened. Among the Beast Emperors there were the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor, the Mystic Turtle Emperor, the Purple Elephant Emperor Shuizhong, Zhuoro, Yingwu, and other ancient great demons. As for the Demon Grandmaster Realm experts, there was the Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang twin Nether Kings. Now, the Golden Fire Beast King was a true Demon Domain Realm expert and was a whole level higher than everyone else. In the Heavenly Demon Temple, the ones most likely to reach the Demon Domain Realm in the future were the Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang twin Nether. When the time came, the 3 of them would be on par with the Golden Flame Beast King. Thinking of this, Sui decided to tell the Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Fire Beast King about his army plan. The Sky Demon Legion will be divided into 4 camps. The Golden Fire Vanguard camp will be led by you. Golden Fire will be the commander, and your strength will be led by the Domain Lord. The Green Emperor War Strategist camp will be led by the Mingxi, and your strength will be led by the sect leader. The Yin-Yang Immortal camp will be led by the Yin-Yang Immortal camp, and your strength will be led by the sect leader. The other camp will not be arranged for now. Do you understand? Sui naturally had his reasons for making such arrangements. The Green Emperor was calm, powerful, and talented. He was the best candidate to be the strategist of the Sky Demon Legion. The Yin-Yang twin Nether Kings worked well together. After combining, they were invincible. If the 4 of them could reach the Domain Lord level at the same time, the Sky Demon Legion would definitely become a terrifying force in Sky Barbarian. Of course, Sui also had a camp prepared for the real Tian Yao school members. After returning, Sui also decided to take a stroll in the Barbarian Demon Forest and let the Tian Yao school rise again. Shiwei, Shangguan Rock, Xiongzhan, Huqi, I don't know how far you've cultivated. Do you miss me? Suyi's eyes flickered. After returning to Sky Barbarian, 3 years had passed. There were still 2 years left. Based on the current situation, they might not even need 2 years. Moreover, these 2 matters required the participation of the real Sky Demon clan members. Otherwise, it would be difficult to comfort Grandmother Shangguan's soul in heaven. Kid, why did you make such arrangements? The Duanmu Qingtian was puzzled. The Holy Mountain still has the Long family. Destroy the Holy Mountain first, then attack the Long family. The Tian Yao School and Spirit Ancient Village were massacred one after another. How can I not take revenge for this? Master's meridians were damaged, and Xiao Man's life was filled with pain. These are all unforgettable grudges. Su Yi clenched his teeth, and a monstrous rage filled his eyes. He couldn't help but clench his fists. The Duanmu Qingtian felt the change in Su Yi's aura and couldn't help but tremble. It was as if it was showing just how many secrets were hidden in his heart. Kuanga, it's all because of me. The Duanmu Qingtian also knew about the Suruga incident and was silent for a moment. He raised his head. The mysterious space in front of him was vast and mysterious, and filled with spiritual energy. The Duanmu Qingtian became more and more curious about Su Yi's future plans. He crossed his arms and said, "Kid, you think too much? Brat, you're thinking too much. Conquering the world by force and knowing how to borrow others' strength is very good. However, the Long family isn't built in a day. If that day really comes, the Imperial Palace will also lend you a hand." The Duanmu Qingtian praised, and his eyes were full of admiration. Su Yi's overall vision, strategy, and thinking were far superior to ordinary people. Su Yi restrained his thoughts, and his expression was solemn and respectful. His firm and resolute face exuded awe without being angry. Even in front of a demon domain expert, his might was still fierce. "Golden Flame's territory master, listen to my orders!" Su Yi shouted. The Golden Flame's Beast King's eyes trembled, and goosebumps climbed up his back. His eyes were filled with a holy light, and he endured his injuries and said loudly, "Subordinate is here. From now on, you will be the commander of the Sky Demon Army. You will be in charge of the Bawang sect. The core of the Sky Demon Army will be under your command. I hope you won't disappoint me." The core of the Sky Demon Army. What kind of trust was contained in this? Don't doubt people you use, and don't use people you don't trust. Every word was precious, but it carried a heavy weight. The Golden Flame's Beast King knew why he didn't follow his master to conquer the world, obtain glory, and reach the peak of the martial path. The Golden Flame's Beast King's eyes fluctuated, and his throat moved. His broad body was buried in his body, and he said in a low voice, "Subordinate listens to your orders." Su Yi looked at the Golden Flame's Beast King with a smile. His originally blood-red eyes gradually became clear, and he patted the Golden Flame's Beast King's body heavily. "Golden Flame's territory master, although you haven't met the Sky Demon Army, your cultivation is the highest. When the time comes, you will have to teach them more. Let the Sky Demon Army be even stronger." The Golden Flame's Beast King nodded, and his eyes shone with anticipation and yearning. Then, Su Yi looked at the Duanmu Qingtian. "Grandmaster, Golden Flames, you two stay here and heal your injuries. After you are done, we will open the space-time transfer point, open the Realm Pearl, and return to Sky Barbarian." "Okay." The Golden Flame's Beast King clenched his broad and rough hands. Without saying anything, he sat on the ground and looked at the divine beast in the sky. His eyes were full of reverence, and he began to heal his injuries. Streams of primordial chi energy turned into strips of light that shrouded his body. Mighty wind and lightning circulated around him. Seeing the Duanmu Qingtian frowning, Su Yi walked toward the Duanmu Qingtian. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration. Chapter 1973. Grandmaster, if your body can't withstand the spacetime storm, you can stay in this world temporarily, and let me take you back to the heavenly barbarians. Duanmu Qingtian had already thought of Su Yi's suggestion when he entered the mysterious space. He pouted his lips and hesitated. The spacetime storm is not a small matter. Unlike the teleportation in the same dimension, The space-time storm is a double test for both the body and the soul. Duanmu Qingtian glanced at the golden flame beast king, who was beginning to heal himself, and his eyes began to worry. Boy, for a warrior to advance from a low-level martial field to a high-level martial field, not only does it mean that the warrior has trained hard, but it also means that the warrior's understanding of the heavenly Tao has reached a new level. In other words, the heavenly Tao cannot be disobeyed. It is already shocking that you were able to travel here with your extraordinary talent. Qi Feihong and the other 3 people in your body are all remnant souls. Of course they can come with you. Deng deng. Sui immediately took a step back. His eyes were wide open and full of disbelief. You don't have to look at me like that. Although I am seriously injured, I am still a Yuan Tian realm cultivator. I can't understand your mysterious space, but I can still feel the aura in your body clearly. Licking his dry lips, Su-Yi followed Duanmu Qingtian and walked slowly in the mysterious space. Grandmaster, what I am worried about now is that Golden Flame and I both have a complete body. If we stay in your body, it will be a burden to your soul. It will be even more difficult for you to travel through the space-time storm. Boy, you have more experience than me. I can't imagine what you will achieve in the future, so I don't want you to risk your life for me. After hearing about the Long family, Duanmu Qingtian suddenly had an idea. Maybe the young man in front of him could really defeat his long-lost enemy. At this time, a burst of medicinal fragrance came from afar, and a high amount of spiritual qi flowed down from the void. A human-sized spirit herb-type barbaric demon beast was receiving nourishment from the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Its branches and leaves were lush, and its hair and beard were fluttering in the wind. It was resting with its eyes closed, and its aura was mystical and profound, resonating with the heaven and earth. Su-Yi raised his eyebrows and pointed at the blood jade spirit ginseng. Grandmaster, that Grandpa Ginseng also has a complete body. Back then, it failed to transcend the tribulation and stayed in my body. This time, didn't it follow me to the space-time mezzanine? There will be a way. Sighing bitterly and shaking his head, Duanmu Qingtian gently placed his hand on Su-Yi's shoulder. The corners of his eyes moved slightly. After all, it's only at the demon illusionary stage. In the martial arts world, the real martial arts world is only at the level of Sky Origin Grandmaster. Only after that can cultivation be called cultivation. You're now leading an Origin Domain Realm Cultivator and a Origin Sky Realm Cultivator through the spacetime storm. You're already an Origin Ancestor. This is pure suicide. I don't agree. Hearing Duanmu Qingtian's words, Su-Yi's heart was covered with a layer of dust. Cultivation was originally a matter of fighting against the heavens. It involved overcoming life and death situations, breaking through the limits of one's body, and comprehending the heavenly Tao. It was easy to understand why demonic beasts had cardinal tribulations and form transformation tribulations, and why human martial arts practitioners were limited by the Origin Ancestor realm. The jealousy of the heavens was also one of the reasons. Nothing could be taken for granted, and no path was smooth sailing. Comprehending the mysteries of the heavens was extremely dangerous. The higher one's cultivation was, the greater the obstacles and difficulties one would face when traversing the spacetime storm. If Su-Yi were to bring these two along, the danger would multiply. Su-Yi's jet-black eyes flickered coldly. An unyielding aura emanated from him as he secretly gritted his teeth. Is there really no other way? A delicate figure flashed out. Duanmu Xiaoman's figure began to appear. He had promised the Duanmu siblings many times to reunite. Every frown, every smile, and every tear, only Su-Yi knew what kind of sorrowful emotions were contained within. Su-Yi could not sit idly by and do nothing about Duanmu Xiaoman's pain. Furthermore, Duanmu Qingtian was right in front of him. Senior, do you want Xiaoman to wait another 100 years? Can Yutian Palace fall into chaos again? Duanmu Qingtian's gaze trembled. Duanmu Xiaoman had always been a scar in his heart that he did not dare to open. They were of the same bloodline, and they were of the same heart. He had not even managed Yutian Palace for a single day. I hope that we can avenge the Long family together. Su Yi raised his eyebrows as a cold glint flashed across his eyes. Then, Duanmu Qingtian frowned and walked forward. His thick and well-tailored robe swayed back and forth. Su Yi said in a deep voice, "Grand Master, if we don't try it once, how will we know?" Su Yi opened his hands, wanting to fight for it one more time. Buzz! It spun quietly, emitting a faint blue light. The aqua-blue ice crystals spun at high speed above the spirit pool, spitting out spirit liquid like a waterfall. Qi Feihong carefully stored the excess spirit liquid into the jade vases and jade jars. "What is that?" Duanmu Qingtian's expression changed. The vast spirit energy turned into rolling waves as visible energy threads rolled back and forth in the sky. Su Yi raised his eyebrows and said to Duanmu Qingtian, "Water heaven suppressing stone." Duanmu Qingtian's cold glint shot out. He was slightly excited as his fingers trembled. "Where did it come from? Where did it come from? This is a heaven-suppressing stone." To Duanmu Qingtian, the heaven-suppressing stone had a different emotion. Because of the gold heaven-suppressing stone, the trajectory of Duanmu Qingtian's life had been changed. Holding Su Yi's hands with both hands, he was very emotional. Su Yi sighed and retold the story of the sacred mountain and the Li family. Duanmu Qingtian's eyes dimmed as he said in a heavy voice, "So that's how it is. Did you find anything special about this heaven-suppressing stone?" After the water heaven-suppressing stone was refined, it appeared in the mysterious space. Apart from the Li family comprehending the cloud shadow frost steps from the remnants of the crimson water crystal, it had no other use. Not yet. Duanmu Qingtian stepped out. In front of him was an ice-blue storm. The milky white ice mist was like a ribbon twisting in the air, and a huge amount of energy turned into a strong wind and poured into his body. Looking up and down, back and forth, Duanmu Qingtian finally shook his head and said with a firm gaze, "No, you didn't use the water heaven-suppressing stone." Su Yi raised his eyebrows. Could it be that Duanmu Qingtian knew how to activate the water heaven-suppressing stone? The water heaven-suppressing stone is the essence of the 7 kinds of vitality source stone. It represents the enlightenment of martial arts and the beginning of heaven and earth. How can it be so calm? Duanmu Qingtian raised his head to look at the mysterious space and said in a low voice, "This treasure land of yours can actually contain the water heaven-suppressing stone. There are many suspicious things about it. Furthermore, this treasure land of yours is related to the divine spiritual veins. Do you think all of this is a coincidence?" Duanmu Qingtian's words made Su Yi fall into deep thought. Duanmu Qingtian continued to speak. "Your divine spiritual veins can only be used when you reach the origin ancestor realm. I guess you still haven't found the right time to activate the water heaven-suppressing stone." This was true. Without breaking through to the origin ancestor realm, it would be difficult for Su Yi to comprehend the mystery of the divine spiritual technique. The water heaven-suppressing stone had been lying here for a long time. It seemed that his cultivation was still too low. Chapter 1974. Even though the mysterious ball of light had started to acknowledge him, he was still far from being able to do whatever he wanted and solve the mystery. However, if you have the water heaven-suppressing stone, you can give it a try. With the help of the heaven-suppressing stone, you can travel through the space-time storm. Duanmu Qingtian's eyes sparkled as a surge of bloodlust surged up. Su Yi's lips curled up as he chuckled. "Traveling through space-time is indeed against the heavenly Tao, but I have the water heaven-suppressing stone. Why should I be afraid of the heavenly Tao?" After that, Su Yi gave some of the spiritual liquid to Duanmu Qingtian. As the spiritual liquid entered his body, he felt as if he was reborn and nourished. The two of them also sat down near the spiritual pool and started to heal their wounds. Su-yi and Duanmu Qingtian gradually calmed down and allowed the spiritual energy to nourish them. Their bodies were enveloped in divine light and their bodies were translucent. Time passed slowly and another 3 days passed. In the desolate space-time mezzanine, Su-yi could casually expose the mysterious space to the outside world. Meanwhile, the iron soulfish in the vestibule spun its eyes rapidly as it monitored the space-time mezzanine for everyone. 3 days later, the blazing sun jumped out from the steamy valley. The 3 golden suns competed with each other, releasing their greatest passion for the earth. In the mysterious space, Duanmu Qingtian, Su-yi, the golden fire beast king, and Qi Feihong's complexion were extremely rosy and radiant. Their auras were incomparably powerful. "I've finally fully recovered," Su-yi exclaimed as he stretched his muscles and bones. The great void ocean was filled with abundant vital energy like a dormant giant beast or a dragon hiding in the abyss. The waves of vital energy were extremely terrifying. Even for Duanmu Qingtian, Su-yi could feel that the injuries on his body had recovered to a certain extent. Duanmu Qingtian was not angry, but he was imposing. A mighty and domineering aura rushed out again. "Su-yi, if I can stay in this treasured land of yours for 5 years, I will definitely be able to recover completely." Duanmu Qingtian smiled faintly and was quite satisfied. Widening his eyes, Su-yi's expression changed. His heart skipped a beat. 5 years? How could he wait for 5 years? Shaking his head heavily, Su-yi hurriedly looked at the people around him and said, "Jin Yen, have you recovered? Prepare to return to Sky Berserker Continent." The Golden Flame Beast King, who had been waiting at the side, was already very anxious. Suddenly, it let out a deafening roar and said with steady steps, "Yes, sir. Master." Everyone exited the mysterious space, and the Golden Fire Beast King brought Su-yi back to Golden Fire's lair. There were broken walls and rubble everywhere. "In your cave?" Su-yi asked doubtfully. Duanmu Qingtian followed behind. The Golden Fire Beast King smiled and said respectfully, "Master, you may not know this, but if you want to accept the heavenly tribulation, you have to be at a spacetime point, and this spacetime point is extremely difficult to find. After going through a lot of trouble to find it, I decided to just make it my home and start to grow stronger. That's how the Golden Fire Cave is built today." Su-yi nodded. This time, with the Golden Fire Beast King by his side to guide him, he could indeed save a lot of effort. Passing through a piece of ruins, the moist swamp Qi washed over them. Beautiful aquatic plants grew under the ground, forming a sharp contrast with the blazing sun above. The dark and gloomy aquatic plants swam back and forth in the underground river. The dark and moist cave Qi made Su-yi feel that they had found the right place. The river bank was covered with rubble. Under the Golden Fire Beast King's guidance, the Duanmu Qingtian and Su-yi stopped beside a patch of aquatic plants that were as tall as a human. Borrowing the light from the waves, the Golden Fire Beast King pushed his palm lightly, and an extremely delicate flame burst out from his fingertips and bombarded the aquatic plants. As soon as the aquatic plants touched the high temperature, they swayed in the wind and moved deeper into the water. The water vapor dissipated, leaving behind a dry land where the aquatic plants used to be. In the middle of the land, there was a totem symbol of the Golden Fire Beast. After seeing the symbol, the Golden Fire Beast King's eyes trembled and he exclaimed in surprise, "Master, this is the spacetime point." Immediately, Yuan Qi rose under Su-yi's feet. The flame cut through the darkness and landed in the middle of the totem symbol like a light boat. Qi La. In an instant, astral winds blew, and a storm rose from the ground. Su-yi immediately operated the primordial origin supreme technique to resist this great pressure. The strong wind was like the roar of a tiger and the roar of a dragon. The unparalleled power spread to the top of Su-yi's head. His green robe and hair fluttered freely. Gradually, under Su Yi's skin, golden patterns began to spread. The immemorial dragon's breath released a great power that transcended the ages. Only then did he stabilize his body. Golden patterns appeared in his eyes as Su Yi murmured, "What a fierce underground whirlwind!" The golden fire beast king's gaze fell on the totem symbol. Its bloody mouth opened wide as if it was swallowing the creatures of time. Looking closer, one could see that it was not only the water vapor. As long as one was around the totem symbol, even the aquatic plants would not come close. The golden fire beast king continued to spit out energy from its mouth. A large area of space in front of it cracked and shattered. Under the surge of this aura, the entire totem symbol began to tremble. "Kid, take out the domain pearl. Now is the time for the space mezzanine to move." Duanmu Qingtian tapped the shore lightly. His body also turned into a ray of light as he prepared to rush into Su Yi's sea of consciousness. The golden fire beast king was shocked. Looking at the sudden changes on the totem symbol, it was stunned on the spot. Its face was pale. Was this the space-time storm? Su Yi's gaze fell on the earth-shattering tornado. With a flick of his finger, the domain pearl in his space bag shot out. "Old Gold, come here. Domain pearl. Take me back to Sky Barbarian." Within the golden fire totem, the space cracked inch by inch. The violent sound of the explosion was like the roar of a ferocious beast. Accompanied by the unparalleled storm, Su Yi's mind was filled with the feeling of impact. His ears were full of buzzing sounds. In the blink of an eye, when the domain pearl was in the center of the storm, the golden fire beast king took a deep breath. It also turned into a ball of fire and rushed into Su Yi's mind. The space began to peel off like a mottled wall. The pitch-black light was so deep that it seemed as if it could devour one's soul. It sent chills down one's spine. His gaze trembled slightly. Su Yi's qi burst out from his body. The qi of the divine black spirit meridians surged out and turned into ribbons that wrapped around the domain pearl. The terrifying energy ripples were like the sea in the middle of the night. One could not see the bottom. In the space, one could not even see where the cracks were and where the ripples were. Bang! With a crisp sound, everything returned to normal. The surging qi of the qi in Su Yi's body also stopped rioting in an instant. Everything in the surrounding gradually returned to normal. The storm in the sky had already gone far away. The dark water plants on the other side swayed their waste. A dark and damp, rotten smell floated in the air. Whoosh! After sensing the change in the environment, Duanmu Qingtian and the golden fire beast king escaped from between Su Yi's eyebrows. Their eyes trembled as they did not know what had happened. Chapter 1975. What happened? The golden fire beast king's deep eyes flashed with a hint of coldness. The sky was as quiet as still water. In the distance there were strange flowers, strange stones, and beautiful aquatic plants. Dim lights flickered. Standing above the golden fire earth pond, Su Yi's eyes twitched fiercely. He was still thinking about why the bounded zone pearl could not be opened. Your cultivation is not high enough. Even if the bounded zone pearl reduces the limit of the 10 jade building, it is not something you can activate now. The Duanmu Qingtian's eyes flashed with a comforting look. Just as he was about to take a step forward, a powerful aura gushed out from Su Yi's green robe. "Su Yi, what are you doing?" the Duanmu Qingtian exclaimed. Yuan Qi rose from Su Yi's feet as he took a step back and retreated a large distance. He lowered his head and stared at the ground. His voice was incomparably deep as he spoke. "Old Gold, do you know if there are other savage beasts in the space-time mezzanine?" The golden fire beast king was extremely embarrassed. He looked at the Duanmu Qingtian's position and said softly, "Although the space-time mezzanine is a tough place to live, there are still savage beasts. Those old monsters never come out and are hard to detect. They also have extremely high cultivation, They are not easy to deal with. How high is their cultivation? Su Yi's aura calmed down. When he came back to his senses, his eyes seemed to be emitting lightning. The golden fire beast king suddenly felt a chill down his spine. His eyes were cold as he said intermittently, "Although the space-time mezzanine is a barren place, there are still creatures coming in and out for hundreds of thousands of years. Some of them reproduce here. There are not many savage beasts in the space-time mezzanine, but their cultivation is above the demon realm. Their cultivation is definitely above mine." When the Duanmu Qingtian heard Su Yi's question, he frowned slightly. The atmosphere was filled with an indescribable awkwardness. "Grandmaster, Old Gold, do you still want to enter the mysterious space?" The golden fire beast king's eyes lit up, but he was stopped by Duanmu Qingtian. Shaking his head slightly, the beast king said in a muffled voice, "Not for now, we have all recovered." "Then wait for me here. Give me 7 days. I'll try the space-time storm again. The sky barbarians must return." As soon as he finished speaking, his aura erupted in an instant. Majestic waves of fire gushed out of his body, which was shrouded in divine light. It was like a volcanic eruption that rushed toward the outside world. Duanmu Qingtian picked up the domain bead from the ground. It was sparkling and translucent, radiating a boundless radiance, and emitting a simple and mysterious luster. His gaze flickered as he looked into the distance. "This time, I reckon this brat has suffered quite a blow." The golden fire beast king's eyes narrowed. The frustrated Su Yi was different from the overbearing Su Yi from before. Duanmu Qingtian shouted, "What are you waiting for? Go after him. This brat had a lot of pent-up energy in his heart. He will definitely do something that is too risky." The golden fire beast king's eyes flickered, and a hint of understanding flashed past his eyes. His aura erupted for no reason, and the space trembled as he quickly flew out. The two of them left one after another. Duanmu Qingtian took a deep breath, and his aura suddenly erupted with a boom. Spiritual pressure rolled out and covered the entire spacetime point. The vast and lush aquatic plants were suppressed with a whoosh, and the earth-shattering aura that swept across the area pushed apart layers of spatial ripples. Duanmu Qingtian's consciousness started to pry into the world in front of him. His eyes flickered, and the light around him revealed a boundless depth, as if it could swallow the world. His origin sky stage cultivation surged, and the surrounding space distorted as the wind and clouds surged. Sky barbarian continent chaos region. A man was imposing without being angry, and an extremely terrifying aura slowly surged from his body. The man's face was like a sculpture, and his robes were wide and well-tailored. His eyes were resolute and filled with faint golden dragon patterns. He looked at the towering mountains in front of him, and he was like a vicious azure dragon that had been hibernating for 10,000 years, quietly nourishing the earth and soil. "Dragon God, is this the place where the old dragon god hibernates?" The elder who had rushed over from 9-Star Valley was Long Kuei. His expression was solemn, and his dim yellow eyes were bright and full of expression. He knew in his heart that hidden in this winding mountain range was their Long family's true dragon god. Ever since the first family master obtained the dragon race's innate talent, the Long family had rapidly grown and prospered, but they had never seen a true 5-clawed golden dragon again. As time passed, the biggest problem the Long family faced was the dilution of their innate talent. Now, the Long family's bloodline was extremely thin compared to the first generation, and their innate talent was catching up to the other 4 families. The overall strength of the Long family disciples, including the dragon god, decreased year by year. The dragon god standing in front of him carried the rise and fall of the Long family on his back. As an elder of the Long family, Long Kuei knew that if he wanted the Long family to return to the peak and regain the Long family's bloodline, he would have to pay a considerable price. This was not the first time Draconis had come to the Chaos region. More than 20 years ago, He had also come here in an attempt to obtain the dragon god's favor again, but he had been refused entry. The Long family's ancient records have long recorded that the old dragon god is here, but unfortunately, he has never been able to obtain the favor. Draconis narrowed his eyes, and there was a hint of coldness in his deep eyes. Elder Long Kuei's eyes trembled, and his heart was filled with disappointment. He cautiously took a step forward. Dragon God, your bloodline is profound, and your innate talent has been able to look down on the 6 continents' third brother Ihai since you were young. You are already a rare genius of the Long family. Could it be that you can't sense the old dragon god's aura? Draconis shook his head, and the aura on his body rippled. His eyes were cold, and he lightly snorted. I can sense the dragon god's existence, but I can't sense his location. This sovereign is worried about something. Elder Long Kuei's wide and withered hands trembled slightly. He looked up at the dragon god, and a bad feeling arose in his heart. Our bloodline is diluting. Will the old dragon god also face the same problem? Elder Long Kuei nodded, and his eyes dimmed. His disappointed gaze once again landed on the Green Mountain. Dragon God, you are right. For thousands of years, there have been people with the Golden Dragon innate talent. The most recent one is Han Wulong from the Boundless sect. However, their innate talent is mediocre, and they can't cause any trouble. The Long family has never really paid attention to them. It seems that the talents are indeed getting worse with each generation. After saying this, the purple-robed elder gradually fell silent. After a long while, the dragon god shook his robe. Elder Kuei, there are a few things that I need you to arrange. Draconis's aura became stronger for no reason. Long Kuei cupped his hands and walked closer. He leaned over to listen to the dragon god speak. First, find all the people with the golden dragon innate talent who have appeared in the Tianyan continent. The Long family's bloodline must not be broken. Gather all the people with the bloodline and open the Golden Dragon Mystery Realm. Second, continue to investigate Su Yi's whereabouts. This sovereign doesn't believe that this kid will die so easily. After arranging people in the Chaos region, turn the Bawang sect upside down. I want to see what secrets this kid has. Third, even if Duanmu Qintian is not in the Tianyan continent, we must find the space-time tunnel that he escaped to. The heaven-suppressing stone is something that the Golden Dragon bloodline must obtain. Chapter 1976. Long Kuei's body trembled, and his old face trembled as he looked at Draconis fiercely. This old man understands. Su Yi is as strange as the Duanmu Qintian back then. Maybe the heaven-suppressing stone is in his hands. This kid must not be left alive. But where should we start looking for the Duanmu Qintian? After a pause, Draconis's eyes suddenly became cold, like a cold pool of water, making people's hair stand on end. I heard that Su Yi, that little bastard, also came from the barbarian demon forest. Let's go to the Chaos region first, then to the barbarian city. Yes. Also, there's the Yutian Palace. If we can't even find out, there's no need for the Yutian Palace to exist. Draconis's eyes were cold, and a cold smile appeared on his face. After his dim yellow eyes moved back and forth, the golden light under his feet flashed, and he quickly disappeared under the clear sky. In the far distance there were a series of mountain peaks between the verdant mountain ridges. Dangerous peaks overlapped, and beads flew from the streams like a waterfall from the 9 heavens, forming a natural cover. The rushing water could reduce the aura and fluctuations to the lowest. Dressed in white, he stood elegantly at the corner of the waterfall. His eyes were like torches as he looked at the surging aura of the golden dragon in the distance. The person standing there was a middle-aged man in a white robe. The place where he stood was directly isolated from the space in front of him, and his aura was surging. In terms of identity, although he was a rogue cultivator, he had extraordinary abilities. If Su Yi was beside him, he would definitely remember that this middle-aged man in a white robe was the Shangguan kid that Xie Wushu and Tang Wang mentioned outside the secret realm of Zhaoling. In the midst of the Green Mountains, a domineering golden aura slowly flowed out. The middle-aged man called Shangguan had a cold look in his eyes, and a cold smile appeared on his face. Draconis, he actually came to the Chaos region. Does he know that the sword is in the Chaos region? Shangguan shook his head and turned to look in the direction of the Overlord sect and said in a low voice, "Don't worry. The Long family seems to have targeted that brat Sui. I heard that this brat disappeared from the 10 Jade building." The white-robed middle-aged man squinted his eyes and rubbed his chin. He said in a low voice, "He's an interesting young man. He looks a little like that old man." In the distance, a majestic aura covered the sky and covered the earth, majestic and dignified. Draconis was already trying to open the Golden Dragon Mystery Realm. "So that's what you're after? You really overestimate yourself." The white-robed middle-aged man sneered, and looked in the direction of the Blue Cloud Hall. Ever since Azure Cloud Palace returned from the Tianfeng Conference, it had been in seclusion. The white-robed man muttered, "After so many years, I've searched everywhere in the Chaos region, except for the Blue Cloud Hall. This time, I'll go to the Blue Cloud Hall. Find that sword. Draconis, you must die." Who? In the blink of an eye, the white-robed middle-aged man's whole body flickered. Then, he streaked across the sky like a human-shaped giant sword. Ever since the Overlord Soul Sect was accepted into the Imperial Heavenly Palace, the secluded place that used to be as tranquil as still water suddenly became lively. The 3 peaks in the middle and the Arch K Lake, where the outer disciples lived, were all packed to the brim. After sending everyone off, Tang Wang returned to the Bawang sect early. On the demon-subduing sect's side, Merciless West finally chose the 3 great demons to guard the demon-subduing sect. He brought Impermanence Fairy and Yang Ming back to the Bawang sect. Another day passed. It had been almost 3 months since Su Yi was swept into the spacetime storm. At night, a light mist spread over the branches. The hazy moonlight sprinkled down a clear radiance. The surrounding night was alluring, but it couldn't stir up the restless mood of the crowd. "Why isn't that kid back yet?" Impermanence Fairy, who had always been calm, walked back and forth on the high platform under the moonlight. A trace of worry flashed across her eyes. Merciless West was also dejected. He still didn't believe that Su Yi would meet with any mishap. Gulp. He angrily pulled out the lid of a wine pot. His dazed eyes were somewhat sober, and a chill could be seen in the gaps of his teeth. So many difficulties have passed, but something just had to happen at this critical juncture? I don't believe it. That kid's luck is so poor. Shaking his head resolutely, Shi Wuqing looked at the huge square. It was empty and desolate. In the cold night, a whistling sound of a snake flashed. Awo! 2 voices, one black and one white, came through. It was the Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang twin Nether. Green Emperor's long and narrow eyes flashed with a trace of light, like a green gem shining in the dark night. "Lord Consecrator." Impermanence Fairy. Impermanence Fairy shook her frost-covered shawl. Her eyes were full of worry as she whispered, "Any news?" Green Emperor was slightly absent-minded. He then shook his head and said, "There's no news of Master yet. The demon-subduing sect hasn't made any moves in the past 2 days. However, many new faces have appeared in the Chaos Zone recently." Merciless West's face was filled with killing intent. He faintly curled his lips and looked at the floating clouds in the sky. Yin Ming nodded. His gaze shifted as he said doubtfully, "Not only are there many new faces, even many of the second-rate sects that have submitted to us have begun to become restless, especially the Heavenly Dipper sect and 9-Star Valley." Shi Wuqing shouted as he rubbed his chin. Ever since he had entered the new Origin Ancestor realm, his originally weathered face had become much younger. He immediately shouted, Let's go. Knowing that the kid isn't here, they're starting to stir up trouble again? I don't care about them, but they're jumping in front of me. Clowns shouldn't be left alive. Smack! Merciless West's voice was like a ferocious beast coming out of the mountains. He drank the last mouthful of sweet wine and angrily threw the wine gourd on the ground. Everyone frowned. Even Merciless West, who had always been addicted to wine, threw the gourd away. It seemed that he was really angry. Wuching, these ants chose to attack the Bawang sect at this time. There must be something behind this. We have to be careful. Green Emperor said in a low voice, "That's right. Today, I feel that the dragon aura on my body has changed. The Long family might be here too." Merciless West wiped his mouth. Flames flew out from his dry palm, causing the space to ripple instantly. "That's good. Let the Long family apologize to Su-yi. We're not afraid of him." After a moment of silence, Shi Wuching took a deep breath. It was not as if he did not understand the principle of being flustered and anxious. He then said in a low voice, "Remember to keep the army's plan a secret. Don't let anyone know about it. 9-Star Valley is not afraid. Ask Elder Lei to adjust the 10,000 demons refining deity array and make preparations. Next, we're going to be serious. It's time to clean up the Chaos region." Green Emperor immediately obeyed. Merciless West's cold words were left behind. "Fight. The Bawang sect is not afraid. If you want to fight, fight until the world shakes. Fight until the universe is unparalleled. Don't embarrass the brat." Yes. The three of them were overwhelmed with emotions. Flames suddenly rose in their eyes. The Bawang sect, without Su-yi, still had a soul. Chapter 1977. Three Crow Region. Half a month had passed since the first attempt to return to the Sky Barbarian continent. 1.5 months was equivalent to 3 full months in the Sky Barbarian continent. Su-yi did not know about this. He left the Golden Flame King's nest and walked along a secluded mountain path. He searched for traces of barbarian beasts and focused on his cultivation. One day, Duanmu Qingtian followed the tracks left behind by the Golden Flame King and arrived at a desert. Under the scorching sun, all the water in one's body would evaporate if one stood on the ground for a second. There was sand and rocks, and not even a blade of grass grew. In an environment where there was an extreme lack of water, even the wind was dry. The yellow sand stretched for thousands of miles, and the golden sun shone brightly. Duanmu Qingtian stood at the top of the desert and looked ahead. Not far away, vital energy whistled and rampaged. The sound of vital energy rushing through the air shattered the fragile space. At this moment, Su-yi was completely naked. Small beads of sweat appeared on his body, but they turned into mist and dissipated. After half a month without sleep and rest, Su-yi's body was tanned to a healthy wheat color. Under his translucent skin, dragon-like tattoos opened and closed, vivid and lifelike. The roar of a dragon shook the sky and the aura of the Origin Supreme technique filled the air. Su-yi punched out and an earth-shattering pillar of vital energy shot out from his fingers. Suddenly, a demonic blood lizard was sent flying into the sky and turned into a cloud of blood mist. Boom! The corpse fell to the ground and trembled. Su-yi shook his hands and his eyes shone with determination. "Take a rest. You have been working so hard for half a month. Do you want to die?" "I am not enough. Completely not enough." Su-yi's eyes were bloodshot and his aura was pushed to the maximum. He gritted his teeth and looked back. Unable to return to the Sky Barbarian continent as he wished, Su-yi's eyes were filled with dissatisfaction. The light on his palms did not stop. He used the Fuyao 100 transformation steps and shuttled back and forth among the barbarian beasts. The thunderous voice resounded through the void, and the entire space began to tremble. The Golden Fire Beast King, who was standing at the side, felt his soul tremble. The young man in front of him had gone through more than half a month of continuous tempering. He was like a wild beast that had completely occupied the clan's land. Half of the land in the spacetime mezzanine had been conquered by Sui. Along the way, within a radius of tens of thousands of miles, corpses and severed limbs could be seen everywhere. The yellow sand dunes were soaked in blood, and the white clouds floating in the sky seemed to be dyed scarlet. Many barbaric beasts would hide far away when they detected Su-Yi's scent. Their eyes were filled with fear as they growled. At this time, Su-Yi was holding the blood demon killing god sword tightly with both hands. The weight of hundreds of thousands of kilograms was held in his hands like a soft feather. Over the past half a month, Su-Yi had been carrying the blood demon killing god sword on his back when he was cultivating. He was already extremely familiar with the use of the sword and had reached the acme of perfection. His physical strength had surpassed that of a demon venerable. When he turned into a ferocious beast in human form, his explosive power was unimaginable. Even without the demon emperor battle armor, an ordinary origin ancestor would not be able to do anything to Su-Yi. After many days of continuous cultivation, Su-Yi's body was riddled with injuries. At the same time, his cultivation base had also improved by leaps and bounds. In just over 10 days, Su-Yi had consecutively challenged 1 to 200 demon venerable realm experts in the spacetime mezzanine. Now, he had already reached the second level of the origin ancestor realm. Under the golden sun, Su-Yi resisted the demonic aura of the barbaric beasts. Discovering the location of the barbaric beasts also allowed Su-Yi's soul strength to reach the highest level of cultivation. Now, Su-Yi's soul cultivation had already reached the advanced 4th grade. The ferocious aura was like the birth of an ancient demon. Terrifying soul tremors seeped out from Su-Yi's dark eyes and spread silently. Su-Yi's improvement was abnormal. The Golden Fire Beast King and Duanmu Qingtian followed behind quietly, not having a chance to make a move. The Duanmu Qingtian stared at Su-Yi, who was still walking into the distance. Suddenly, the corners of his mouth lifted and he laughed involuntarily. "Do whatever you want." Soon, monstrous roars of beasts could be heard from the depths of the desert. The powerful aura of the Origin Supreme technique was endless. That is the lair of the demonic blood lizard. Senior Duanmu, should we go in? The Golden Fire Beast King's eyes were trembling. The demonic aura in the air was surging, and the smell of blood filled their nostrils. The Duanmu Qingtian slowly floated down the desert and walked at the back. He smiled and said, "This kid's character can't be changed even with 9 bulls. Perhaps this period of time will be a good opportunity for him to improve by leaps and bounds." He crossed his arms and looked at Su-Yi fighting in the desert. Terrifying roars resounded through the sky, and the roars of dragons could be heard. He was invincible. In the blink of an eye, another month passed. Su-Yi had been in the space mezzanine of the Three Ravens region for 2 whole months. During this period, Su-Yi had injected Yuan Qi into the Domain Pearl countless times, but there was still no reaction from the Domain Pearl. Failure after failure made him feel dispirited. A moment of disappointment, in the blink of an eye, stimulated the determination in his heart. Regardless of whether it was killing those of a higher level or those of the same level, Su-Yi put in 10 times more effort than usual, using all the training and cultivation methods he could think of. During the day, under the blazing sun, Su-Yi would find various demon grandmaster and demon domain level barbarian demons to fight. At night, he would bury himself in the sand and be roasted by the earth core fire. At the same time, with the help of the spirit liquid and monster cores, the remaining 20 over demon grandmaster monster cores were all refined in just a few months. Even the golden fire beasts from before were all eaten and drunk. Under the faint moonlight, the night wind carried a hint of blood. The bonfire lingered, and the crackling wooden branches jumped in front of him. Sparks flew, and the flesh of the barbarian demons was still roasting on them. Sitting beside the fire, Su-Yi opened the mysterious space and sat with his legs bent. His hands were forming mysterious and complicated hand seals. Slowly closing his eyes, Su Yi's supreme origin technique fluctuated continuously. Ripples surged in the air, and a dignified and majestic aura spread out from his body. Boom! Su Yi felt that he was about to break through again. Countless pillars of light shone from the sky and surrounded Su Yi. The space in front of him was dazzling. Divine light poured down from the sky and enveloped Su Yi. The terrifying aura was like a gift from God, dazzling and eye-catching. The Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Fire Beast King were sitting at the side, enjoying the roasted meat of the barbarian demons. When they saw the situation in front of them, they quickly retreated. Crossing his hands, the Duanmu Qingtian looked calm. He raised his eyebrows and said in a low voice, "Is he going to break through again?" Buzz. Golden light flowed. The dragon pattern turned into a long dragon-shaped light circle and rushed to the sky. The mysterious astrolabe appeared above his head. The Duanmu Qingtian was used to such a scene. His eyes were calm, but there was a smile on his face. When Su Yi opened his eyes again, there was an unprecedented calmness in his eyes. Turbid air came out from his throat and his body was glowing. Chapter 1978. Third Level Origin Ancestor. Finally, Third Level Origin Ancestor. Su Yi's eyes flickered slightly as a satisfied smile appeared on his face. In half a month, he had actually risen by 2 levels in the Origin Ancestor realm. If there was a martial artist beside him, their jaws would have dropped. If anyone knew that Su Yi had not only broken through the shackles of the Origin Ancestor realm but had also risen rapidly by relying on his own strength after coming to the spacetime mezzanine, they would be horrified and ashamed of their own inferiority. As he quickly stood up, the aura and energy in the air gradually dissipated. The barbaric demon beasts hiding in the depths of the desert gradually fled into the distance, their roars echoing in the sky. Moonlight poured down and shone on Su Yi's bronze skin. Su Yi's figure suddenly became imposing and powerful, and the aura emanating from his pores was fierce and terrifying. Qi La. Su Yi, who was at the Origin Ancestor realm, had a cold look in his eyes. With a push of his palm, the bounded pearl flew to his chest as he shouted, "Open!" Buzz. The aura of the Origin's supreme technique circulated and a suffocating feeling surged out. A faint shadow of a golden dragon shot out from between his brows and completely enveloped the bounded pearl. The sound of high-speed rotation could be heard as the bounded pearl emitted a dazzling divine luster. The originally simple and white pearl was like a luminous pearl, dazzling and condensing. Boom! As if the heavens and earth had sensed it, lightning energy flashed between the clouds. The 3 of them simultaneously understood that this was a sign that the bounded pearl was reacting. Grand Master, Old Gold, enter the mysterious space. Let's try again. Su Yi exchanged glances with the other 2. Without further delay, Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Fire Beast King flashed into the space. Remember to take out the box of crystals the moment you enter, Duanmu Qingtian reminded them. Under the faint moonlight the atmosphere was dense. The faint white mist was blown away by a wisp of fire. The barbaric demon beasts that had been hibernating stretched their necks to look at the sudden change. Standing back on the space-time point, the golden flames array was still glowing, and the terrifying energy storm swept over like a hurricane once again. With a shake of his arm, Su Yi took out the domain pearl once again. Supported by his energy, the pearl was surrounded by a circle of crystal boxes, looking round and bright. Su Yi took a deep breath and activated the light. In the next second, the realm zone pearl shone brightly and erupted with an intimidating energy. The seaweed was covered by a white halo, and the whole world was as bright as day. At the end of the white halo there was finally a pitch-black crack. Thunder roared and lightning flashed. Arcs of light flickered high up in the sky. A rumbling sound resounded out of nowhere. Immediately, astral winds blew in this world. Hoochie! Within the crack that appeared in an instant, the deep blackness was like a huge mouth that could swallow all living things in the world. It's finally starting. The Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Flame Beast King's eyes flickered as their hearts surged. They never thought that this moment would come so suddenly. After so many years, the Duanmu Qingtian could finally step on the soil of the Tian barbarian continent. The passing clouds seemed to have reappeared yesterday, and his eyes turned red. Facing the drastic changes in the sky, the Golden Flame Beast King's eyes narrowed, and a few flames jumped out of his eyes. Following Su-Yi back to the Tian barbarian continent meant that he would start a new life as a beast, conquering the Tian barbarian continent and becoming a paragon. In an instant, the mysterious light ball shone brightly, and the majestic aura seemed to be connected to the ancient world. An ancient aura filled the air, and Su-Yi's body was gradually controlled by the mysterious runes that surrounded him. Above the sky, unlike ordinary space tunnels, there was a patch of white divine light within the pitch-black crack. At the end of the divine light, there were carved beams and painted rafters, and the light was sacred. At the end of time, it emitted a mysterious glow. Of course, Su-Yi recognized it. That was the 10 Jade Building. Activate the Domain Pearl and enter the 10 Jade Building. Prepare the crystals. Activate the Heaven Barbarian Continent. Su-Yi said to himself. His body floated like a carp leaping over the dragon's gate. Light flashed, and a shadow flashed as he headed toward the 10 Jade Building. Roar! The space-time storm, which could tear everything apart, locked onto Su-Yi's position as soon as Su-Yi entered. Buzz! His soul trembled, and a trace of fear flashed past his eyes. Su-Yi frowned instantly. In such a space-time storm, Su-Yi felt that his soul and body were both injured. Hiss! A faint golden dragon's power was released. In the deep sky, a golden dragon soared into the sky, and a dragon's roar shook heaven and earth. It was domineering and destructive. Su-Yi's eyes flickered, and his hands formed a seal at lightning speed. The Origin Supreme technique seemed to be connected to heaven and earth, and a majestic killing intent surged. Go! A loud roar came from Su-Yi's body. Su-Yi waved his hand, and a large amount of red light surged out. Dazzling flames poured down, and collided with a violent storm that destroyed everything in the surrounding space. Under the bombardment of the fire attribute light pillars, the entire space was filled with sharp sonic booms. The space also trembled in an instant. Darkness surged like a tide, and ripples surged towards the end of the boundless space. Waves of monstrous aura burst out from Su-Yi's body, but it still couldn't resist the storm's devouring power. There was a muffled breathing sound, and blood splattered into the sky. Su-Yi, who was stepping on the void, was suddenly hit by a violent astral wind. Immediately, Su-Yi felt that his internal organs were tangled together. The light of the divine black spiritual meridians dimmed, and a large amount of blood and sweetness surged up again. His speed suddenly slowed down, and Su-Yi's body's essence qi rapidly withered. His face was as pale as snow, and his legs trembled. His limbs felt an unprecedented tearing sensation. Brat, can you still do it? In the mysterious space, Duanmu Qingtian could still feel the tyrannical and destructive energy fluctuations in the surrounding space. The surrounding space was collapsing inch by inch along with the whistling wind blade. Compared to the last time he came, the space-time storm was much more violent. So, when I came, I experienced such a terrifying storm. Su-Yi's lips curled up, and his face quickly turned pale. He slowly wiped the corners of his mouth, and executed the Fuyao 100 transformation steps to the extreme. Lightning flashed, and the heart-palpitating sound came again. Su-Yi was like a human-shaped bird of prey, and he sprinted forward. As he got closer to the 10 Jade restaurant, the space-time storm seemed to be unwilling to let Su-Yi succeed. The wind blades that filled the sky tore Su-Yi's body apart. Countless small wounds were covered in blood, and the golden light patterns and flames were wrapped in a thick black color. The essence chi in Su Yi's body was being depleted at a terrifying speed. Hold it in. Hold it in. I want to return to Sky Man. Su Yi gritted his teeth, and his eyes were red. His gaze was as firm as the sea, and his hands were clenched into fists. He continuously shuttled through the layers of the space-time storm. From afar, Su Yi was like a sea swallow fighting against the wind and waves, and he welcomed the new blazing sun amidst the flashing lightning and rolling thunder. Boom! When the 10 Jade building was right in front of his eyes, Su Yi stretched his hands forward, and a vast aura of destruction came from the sky. Like a giant python, a demonic wind gushed out violently, and the space was instantly distorted. When the gust of wind expanded in his eyes, Su Yi felt that his life was in danger for the first time. When it was close, Su Yi's yuan qi had already been depleted. Even the few drops of mysterious spirit fire liquid left behind by the origin ancestor realm had disappeared. Is this the end? An ethereal voice resounded in the darkness of the netherworld, as if Su Yi was asking himself. Chapter 1979. 4 months passed in the blink of an eye. The focus of the Tian Barbarian continent shifted from the Heavenly Wind ranking tournament to the Heavenly Barbarian continent. The 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 ocean began to regain their former peace. However, no one knew about the restlessness of the aristocratic families. Su Yi, the new king of Heaven's Pride, quickly became a peerless talent in the Tian Barbarian continent. He severely injured the Long family's young palace master, became the #1 person in Heavenly Wind, and shattered the Heavenly Wind Jade Annulus. His various deeds began to be talked about enthusiastically. In a certain winding mountain range, spiritual birds and auspicious beasts hid among them. There were countless exotic flowers and precious herbs. 9 Saints Peak. The mountain range was tall and green. In the spring, hundreds of flowers bloomed like a shy young girl. Only the people of the Saint Mountain knew that the peerless, fairy-like 9th Holy Maiden had not left her home for 4 months. During this period, countless attendants, deacons, and even the saint had personally come to look for Lu Ruashi. Lu Ruashi's uniform reply was that she did not want to see them. Only Lu Ruashi knew that she was waiting for someone who would come to pick her up. Awoo! Outside the window, birds were circling the clouds. Pairs of bird beasts let out joyful cries as they flew freely between heaven and earth, spreading their wings and flying. In this small world, Lu Ruashi did not know how many times she had seen through the autumn waters and how many clouds she had seen. However, she was still unwilling to give up. She changed into a bright red palace dress and looked at the auspicious clouds that glowed with golden light. The multicolored light in the distance was like rouge on a young girl's face. Today was the last day of her appointment with the saint. It was the deadline of 4 months. It was also the day of the competition between the 5th Holy Sun and the Great Holy Sun to determine the next Saint Emperor and the new Saint Venerable Lu Ruashi. Lu Ruashi's slender, jade-like fingers clung to the wooden window frame. Under the golden light, Lu Ruashi's skin was translucent and translucent. She was absolutely beautiful, and her figure was soft and boneless. Every single inch of her body was moving. Under her elegant red dress, it outlined an incomparably moving and beautiful curve that would cause the heart of any man in the world to speed up and the fire in their heart to surge. The current Lu Ruashi was absolutely beautiful. The current Lu Ruashi was filled with despair. Lu Ruashi clutched at the window with all her strength until her knuckles turned a faint purple. She did not let go of the window. Her eyes shone with an indescribable sorrow and disappointment. Will Su Yi come today? Even Lu Ruashi herself felt that her words were a little unreal. Within 4 months, she had thought about this countless times in her heart. Su Yi's promise to marry her was still ringing in her ears. She let out a bitter laugh as her delicate body trembled for no reason. Even though she was beautiful today, her cheeks and cheeks could not hide her pale face. Dong dong! A crisp knock on the door shattered Wu Yan's dejection. An old and cautious voice slowly drifted through the curtains. Ninth Holy Maiden, the competition has begun. The welcoming team had already arrived at the entrance. This old man. Lu Ruashi couldn't be more familiar with this voice. Uncle Guan was her serving elder. After entering the sacred mountain, Uncle Guan was the one who took care of her daily life. In the past few months, Uncle Guan had also been dealing with the holy sage, the elders, the first holy son, and the fifth holy son for her. Not only did she look haggard, Uncle Guan also looked like he had aged by more than 10 years. Is there any news about him? Lu Ruashi muttered in a low voice. There was no reply from outside the door. Uncle Guan lowered his voice and said, I have already sent a letter to the Bawang sect. This is all this old man can do. I understand, Uncle Guan. Give me a moment, I will go right away. There was a long silence outside the door. Through the curtains, a stooped voice could be heard trembling with joy. All right, miss, I will go and prepare now. Uncle Guan. Lu Ruashi's voice was as soft as the wind, there was a hint of tenacity in it. Uncle Guan turned around. Lu Ruashi shook her long robe and some light flashed. She was no longer as weak as before. Ever since I was young, other than the holy sage, the sacred mountain has treated me the best. You have worked hard for the past few months. Uncle Guan smiled deeply. His figure was not tall, but he was like a father. His eyes were filled with relief and pain, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Saintess, what are you saying? It's just that, why do you like that person? As soon as he finished speaking, he let out a long sigh and the sound of footsteps gradually fading away could be heard. Lu Ruashi, who was sitting in the elegant room, blinked her long eyelashes. She walked to the side of the bed. Under the pillow, there was a saint weapon with 2 hooks shining with golden light. Yuan Qi whistled in her hand, and the saint weapon turned into a light shadow. Lu Ruashi held it tightly in her hand and it disappeared in an instant. During this period of time, Lu Ruashi, who was dispirited, had been facing this saint weapon day and night. As long as she was free, she would cultivate in the elegant room. Lu Ruashi's and Su Yi's twin hooks were already connected to each other, reaching the realm of telepathy. They caressed the cold glint of their blades and merged them together. It was like a golden crescent moon, sharp and piercing. Hold it, it's like having him by your side. Lu Ruashi felt as if the determined young man who stepped forward bravely to protect her was right in front of her eyes. She put away the saint weapon with a cold smile on her face. She had already thought it through. No matter what the outcome of today's competition was, she would not let the Xiahong house get her if the 5th Holy Son won. If the 1st Holy Son won, she would immediately cut her own throat. Lu Ruashi looked up at the misty spiritual mountain in the distance. She looked at the place she had lived for more than 10 years, and reluctance flashed in her eyes. She pushed open the door and left with her red palace robe fluttering behind her. In the open space in front of the Saintess Peak, there was a huge golden unicorn with ferocious eyes. Its entire body was suffused with golden light, and it looked like a hibernating hill in the midst of the lofty mountains. There were a total of 9 golden unicorns. 4 of them were sent by the first saint, the other 4 were sent by the 5th saint, and the one in the middle was the Holy Maiden Peak's own unicorn. 9th Holy Daughter, over here. The 1st Holy Son invites you. A white-haired old man's sharp voice was very ear-piercing. Lu Ruashi knew that he was the 1st Holy Son's direct elder. Lu Ruashi glanced at the old man indifferently, and a trace of disgust flashed in her eyes. She turned around and saw a familiar figure in the corner of the 5th Holy Son's golden unicorn. It was a woman with a hot figure and beautiful hair that draped over her shoulders. She looked valiant, and her pretty face was sparkling like jade. Although she was not as beautiful as Lu Ruashi, she had a natural wildness. Her fluttering eyelashes revealed a different kind of pride. Senior Sister Li Ling? Lu Ruoxi's breathing suddenly turned heavy as she walked toward Li Ling. Li Ling blushed, and embarrassment made her eyes flicker. She said timidly, Junior Sister, long time no see. Lu Ruoxi frowned. Of course, she knew about Li Ling's feelings for the Xiahong house. Even a fool could see it. Could the Xiahong house not see it? Why are you here? Lu Ruoxi asked. Li Ling seemed to have been enlightened. She raised her head and said with a trembling voice, Ninth Holy Daughter, congratulations. You are about to become a holy venerate. You will even become his woman. The boundless pain turned into sparkling tears, instantly destroying Lu Ruoxi's determination. Chapter 1980. All of a sudden, Lu Ruoxi's curvaceous chest heaved up and down as a glimmer of light flickered in her eyes. You know everything? Lu Ruoxi did not dare to look at Li Ling. She knew that Li Ling had been in love with the Xiahong house since she was young and had mentioned it many times. Every time Li Ling mentioned the name of the Xiahong house, her eyes would sparkle. Lu Ruoxi was still moved when she thought of Su Yi, the determined and proud young man who stood in the teeth of the storm and challenged an ancient aristocratic family. Li Ling curled her lips and sighed as she held the reins of her golden unicorn and tried her best to hide the awkwardness in her heart. Only the ninth holy maiden is worthy of the fifth holy sun in the entire sacred mountain. Li Ling is already content to be able to be favored by the sacred venerate and stay by the fifth holy sun's side. Lu Ruoxi noticed that Li Ling's beautiful eyelashes fluttered with bitterness and sadness. The sadness in her heart could not be concealed no matter what. Lu Ruoxi pursed her red lips as a faint blush appeared on her face. Senior Sister Li Ling, no one can take him away from me. He's mine, and I swear to take him back. Lu Ruoxi's eyes were cold, but they were filled with determination. Li Ling, who was standing at the side, looked up and cried out, Junior Sister, what did you just say? Lu Ruoxi, who was originally quiet and focused on martial arts, was actually so unyielding. It was beyond Li Ling's expectations. Li Ling fell into deep silence. Lu Ruoxi shook her head and whispered something in Li Ling's ear. Li Ling's beautiful eyes widened as she looked around and shouted, You can't do that! Junior Sister! Even the sacred venerate would not agree to take such a risk. Lu Ruoxi's eyes were as cold as frost as she stared at the flustered Li Ling. The corners of her mouth curled up into an indifferent smile as she carelessly caressed the double-hook saint artifact that Su Yi had given her. I don't want to regret it, and I don't want Senior Sister Li Ling to hate me for the rest of your life. Lu Ruoxi's eyes were as clear as water with a few cold icicles. 4 golden unicorns lined up on either side of the carriage. They were the people sent by the great saint and the fifth saint. The golden unicorn was as big as a small mountain. It was dazzling and had a huge body. Its beastly eyes released a ferocious aura. Its huge front claws kept rubbing back and forth on the ground, gradually forming small pits. Beast roars filled the sky, causing the spirit birds in the distance to jump and the auspicious beasts to fly away. The majestic roars of the beasts resounded throughout the entire forest. In a split second, the birds and beasts all moved. The sun hung high in the sky, and the dazzling rays of light left many mottled spots of light on the small open space. It's done. It is getting late. Ninth Holy Daughter, don't waste the time. The elder on the first holy sun's side shouted as he looked up at the sky. When he saw Lu Ruoxi and the fifth holy sun's personal maidservant chatting happily, the elder's expression changed drastically. A trace of viciousness appeared on his withered face. That's right. Ninth holy maiden, you are the next holy sovereign. Don't lower your status. The other 3 elders sneered at the same time. Whoosh! Lu Ruoxi immediately turned around. Cold lightning flashed in her eyes, and a heart-palpitating energy spread out. The 4 elders' faces twitched at the same time, and they remained silent. Since I am the holy sovereign, I will not allow you to gossip here on Nine Saints Peak. I did not ask you to wait here. If you are impatient, scram back to where you came from. Yes. The vulgar elder shook his long robe. Flames burned in his eyes when he heard this. Elder Ling, don't cause trouble. Since the ninth holy maiden is not afraid of delay, what are we afraid of? That's right. Elder Ling, we are here to welcome the new holy sovereign, not to cause trouble. Lu Ruashi narrowed her eyes. She knew that the elder on the first holy son's side was implying something. Previously, she had heard from Uncle Guan that the first holy son was indulgent and extravagant. He was also dissatisfied that the holy sovereign had chosen her as the next holy sovereign. Rumors had already spread in the holy mountain that if the ninth holy maiden still had second thoughts after becoming the holy sovereign, she would be crippled. I didn't expect the first holy son to be so powerful even before he became the new holy emperor. If I didn't know better, I would have thought that he had already led the holy mountain to the peak of the martial way. The elder on the fifth holy son's side was not to be outdone. Within the sacred mountain, the rivalry between the first holy son and the fifth holy son had reached a point where neither side was willing to give an inch. The fifth holy son had been in seclusion ever since he returned from the Tianfeng ranking tournament. He had never come out, but he was extremely concerned about the holy mountain. He was no longer as oblivious to the holy mountain's matters as before. This caused many of the holy mountain's indecisive elders to stand on the Xiahong house's side once again. Yuqi Chongfeng's notoriety had spread far and wide. As for why the holy flame still supported him, most people believed that it was because of his bloodline. The Xiahong house had been brought back from the chaos realm by the holy sovereign, and the mystery of their origins had not been explained to everyone. This was something that a sect like the Holy Mountain would not allow. Don't talk about it anymore. Lu Ruashi frowned and glared fiercely at the first holy son's elder. She gently grasped Li Ling's hands and nodded. Then, she walked towards Uncle Guan's golden unicorn. Uncle Guan, let's go. Let's go on our own mounts. Uncle Guan had already signed the reins. His eyes were overflowing with joy as he nodded heavily. He handed the reins to Lu Ruashi and said in a low voice, "Ninth holy daughter, this old man will not go. Your mother has also rushed over from the barbarian city for this holy mountain tournament. It is a grand occasion for the entire central continent. All the major sects have gathered at the holy mountain." Uncle Guan's turbid pupils suddenly contracted. He glanced at the elders on both sides and his voice became softer and softer. Lu Ruashi had a pure heart and was naturally clear that Uncle Guan wanted to tell her that today's grand competition was of great importance. Even Lu Zongyuan had come, so she had to consider her every move and action carefully and not do anything rash. Lu Ruashi's brows furrowed tighter and tighter. Her beautiful face turned cold, but the light in her eyes did not diminish. "I know, Uncle Guan. Ruashi thanks you again." After saying that, Lu Ruashi took the reins and stroked the razor-sharp feathers of the golden unicorn under her feet. With a flip, she mounted the golden unicorn. Her red robe fluttered behind her, and her appearance was absolutely beautiful. "Senior sister, we will meet at the sacred martial hall." A stream of light flew across the sky. The golden unicorn roared, and its iron-like saws lightly stepped on the ground behind it, and disappeared into the clouds. The first holy son and the fifth holy son's elders looked at each other. Their faces were extremely ugly, and their expressions were complicated. It was as if they were saying, Lu Ruashi did not choose Yuqi Chongfeng nor the Xiahong house. What was she planning? Chapter 1981. Junior Sister. Worry and concern crept onto Li Ling's face as she pursed her lips and mounted the golden unicorn. The first holy son glared fiercely at the direction Lu Ruashi disappeared in. With a command, the four of them shot into the sky at the same time. "Let's go." Today, all the heroes of the central continent are here, and this is comparable to the sacred martial assembly. I don't think this lass will be able to create any waves. In the barbarian demon forest, near the barbarian demon Grand Canyon. Chi-La. The sky seemed to have split open and a black crack extended out. A terrifying building that pierced through the clouds suddenly appeared. Anyone who had participated in the Heavenly Wind ranking tournament would definitely know that this was the legendary 10 Jade Pavilion that would only appear once every 60 years. Terrifying waves of air surged and swept out. A boundless aura that seemed to have transcended the primordial times spread out in all directions. It was as if a huge wave was crashing into the entire barbarian demon canyon. Bang! Countless barbarian demon beasts in the forest roared as they ran for their lives. Immediately, the sounds of people running for their lives could be heard everywhere. Roar! Rumble! The low and deep sound of explosions resounded like a string of cannons. The dense barbarian demon forest shook and the branches swayed. The desolate barbarian demon Grand Canyon was shaken by the flying sand and rocks. What is that? The eyes of the armored flying ant that was using the beast language flickered as it looked at the 10 Jade Pavilion that bordered the sky in the distance. Its eyes were filled with horror. There were a few barbarian demon beasts at the side who were crawling on the ground and trembling. The ferocious aura was like that of a demon venerable descending into the world. The barbarian demon beasts' souls throbbed, and they did not dare to raise their heads to look at it. Let's go. Return to Azure Water City, and report to Demon Emperor Akatsuki. Chi-Chi. The metallic wings on the back of the barbarian demon beasts spun rapidly, and the group of barbarian demon beasts fled in different directions under the pressure of the 10 Jade Pavilion. On a dangerous peak in the barbarian demon forest, a few rogue cultivators looked at Ling Tian's 10 Jade Pavilion and their eyes almost popped out. What is that, old saber? A shifty-eyed, greasy-faced cultivator patted a cultivator who was meditating by the side. The meditating warrior's body was like a water bucket. His beard and hair were curly and unrestrained. He raised his head to look at the 10 Jade building in the sky unwillingly and then fell down from the high ground. His eyes were like torches, and his eyes were wide open. He had also never heard of such a strange phenomenon appearing in the sky. The moment the 10 Jade Pavilion appeared, the cultivators felt like their throats were being choked and their souls were suppressed. They hurriedly circulated their origin chi and with a look of panic. What are you still standing? Go. Go and report to those lords who came to Barbarian City a few days ago. Saber, 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 saber. Saber, 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 saber. The moment he said that, the rogue cultivators dashed out of the barbarian demon forest like the wind. They ran extremely fast and didn't want to get close to the 10 Jade Pavilion. Barbarian demon forest, near Barbarian City. There were also 2 rogue cultivators who were dressed normally and had the word shadow carved on them. The moment they saw the 10 Jade Pavilion, they dashed towards it. Rumble! A ray of light slowly descended from the top of the 10 Jade Pavilion and was enveloped by a layer of light. In the ray of light, there was a green-robed man lying on the ground. He was completely naked and his face was as pale as blood with small wounds all over his body. While the wounds had already formed scabs, they still looked terrifying. As the ray of light gradually descended, the figure inside became clearer. His face was like a sculpture with maturity and vicissitudes of life. He was arrogant and lonely with a trace of childishness between his brows. Who else could it be other than Sui? Purring, purring. The 10 Jade Tower towered into the sky, its light and shadow constantly dissipating, and its aura was also gradually declining. However, after Sui was completely and gently placed on the ground, the 10 Jade Tower completely disappeared into the vast horizon. Tisk, tisk. Space rippled as if a bolt of lightning had struck the ground. following which, Su-yi lay on the ground without any consciousness. His aura was weak and he was unconscious. 2 rays of light floated out from between Su-yi's brows. The rays of light distorted the space and caused the space in front of him to crumble. The Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Fire Beast King walked out of the ray of light and looked at Su-yi on the ground. The Golden Fire Beast King spoke softly. It has been hard on Master to resist the space-time storm with the body of an origin ancestor. The Golden Fire Beast King's eyes flickered as he recalled the various dangerous situations in the space-time tunnel. The Duanmu Qingtian also shook his head. His eyes were frozen and filled with lingering fear. This was an absolute risk. If Su-yi could not hold on, both he and the Golden Fire Beast King would have perished. Buzz! In the next second, another ray of light shot out from between Su-yi's brows. Upon closer look, it was actually a hunchbacked old man. He was hale and hearty, and his white beard was almost dragging on the ground. Every strand of his beard was filled with medicinal and spiritual energy. The fragrance was so fragrant that it made one drool. He had a benevolent face, but there was a domineering aura that looked down on the world. The aura of a demon emperor flowed out. "Grandpa Ginseng, it's all thanks to you this time." The Golden Fire Beast King hurriedly cupped his hands and thanked the old man. Grandpa Ginseng looked at the Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Fire Beast King before looking at Su-yi on the ground. "I have received too much help from this lad. It was originally impossible for me to successfully break through to the Demon Emperor realm." After saying that, their eyes lit up at the same time. The Duanmu Qingtian sighed softly as he recalled the final dash in the spacetime storm. "I still underestimated the power of the Crimson Heavenly Crystal. Even if this lad has such a mysterious power, he could not unleash even 1% of the Crimson Heavenly Crystal's power. Coincidentally, it was all thanks to Grandpa Ginseng transcending the heavenly tribulation and saving Su-yi." The blood jade spirit Ginseng's beard fluttered in the wind as his eyes trembled. He said in shock, "The last heavenly tribulation almost destroyed my body and soul. It was all thanks to this kid's mysterious space. This time I'm also gambling. Fortunately, I won, and so did this lad. This lad was just lucky." Sigh. "It was shocking and dangerous. But I am finally back." The Duanmu Qingtian's eyes were burning, and his eyes were filled with pride. A fierce look flashed across his face. This was the first time in decades that the Duanmu Qingtian stood on the Tianyan continent. He could stand upright and not be restrained by others. At the side, the Golden Fire Beast King looked as if he had discovered a new continent. He opened his fierce eyes and looked back and forth at this new world. The landscape was completely different from the Three Ravens region. It was a dense forest, and there was an endless sea of trees. The rich demonic aura and the thin heaven and earth spiritual energy formed a sharp contrast. The Golden Fire Beast King was extremely curious. Chapter 1982. The Blood Jasper Spirit Ginseng and the Duanmu Qingtian bent down and arranged Su-yi's body in a suitable position. The Duanmu Qingtian whispered, "This kid is badly injured. Let me help him." After a moment of silence, the Blood Jasper Spirit Ginseng looked at the Duanmu Qingtian. The pressure that enveloped him was extremely terrifying, but the density of his qi was very thin. "Your cultivation is amazing, but your injuries are too serious. You can't use any more qi. Let me do it." The Blood Jasper Spirit Ginseng hardened its heart and removed a few strands of its beard. With a crisp sound, the strands of beard quickly turned into ginseng roots that were filled with spiritual energy. Placed in the palm of his hand, it emitted a unique medicinal fragrance. At a glance, one could tell that it contained a huge amount of qi. Such rich qi of qi! The Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Fire Beast King were amazed. The ginseng roots contained a huge amount of energy. In terms of quality, it was comparable to a heaven-class elixir. The blood jasper spirit ginseng smiled, and melted the ginseng in its hand into a liquid form. The crystal clear and round beads flowed down Su Yi's mouth. I have been nourished by the qi of qi. When I am thirsty, I will drink the spiritual liquid in this kid's space. Plus, my roots are spiritual medicine. They definitely have the magical effect of bringing the dead back to life. The blood jasper spirit ginseng's eyes were full of pride as it continued to treat Su Yi. When the huge amount of spiritual liquid flowed into Su Yi's body, his pale face quickly became rosy. His weak body was lifted up by the blood jasper spirit ginseng and the golden fire beast king. The golden fire beast king slowly transferred the demon qi of the fire attribute into Su Yi's body. Boom! The qi of the demon realm was huge. Immediately, it turned into a surge of energy in the god of spiritual meridians and flowed into the great void spirit sea. The blood jasper spirit ginseng pushed both of its hands and the spiritual energy wrapped around Su Yi tightly. In less than an hour, Su Yi's consciousness was restored. Awake. The corners of Duanmu Qingtian's mouth curled up slightly. His gaze landed on Su Yi, who had just woken up. The tearing feeling in his head had not faded. Su Yi's palm pressed against his forehead and gritted his teeth. In front of him was a dark star. After a long while, he could see the scene in front of him. Kid! Master! Su looked up. Su Yian looked. And looked in front of him, the space in front of him. He looked at the space, and said happily, "We are back? This is the demon forest?" In the qi of origin ancestor. In the spirit qi s-n and spirit, in you. The golden fire beast king squatted at the side. The fiery demonic aura in its hands did not stop. It nodded and said fearfully, "Yes, master." Fortunately, Grandpa Ginseng successfully passed the heavenly tribulation and blocked the most serious lightning strike for you. Otherwise, we would not have been able to come to the sky barbarian continent. He struggled to stand up, but his legs gave way and he fell down again. Su Yi was also frightened. His lips were pale as he looked at the blood jasper spirit ginseng. "Thank you, Grandpa Ginseng. Congratulations on becoming a demon emperor." Spirit-type demon emperors. Grass-type demon beasts were not the most talented among the beasts. Once they became demon emperors, they would be famous and have shocking achievement. Rest well. Everything else is for later. Now that we are finally back, there are still many things for you to do. Don't take any more risks. The blood jasper spirit ginseng's eyes were serious. Boom. Duanmu Qingtian, who had been quietly listening, suddenly shook his arm. A golden, throbbing soul pressure whizzed out and destroyed 2 towering trees in the southwest direction. "Who is it? Come out," the Duanmu Qingtian said sternly. His voice was like thunder. Su Yi, the Duanmu Qingtian, and the blood jasper spirit ginseng raised their eyebrows. Their expressions immediately turned serious. Ao. 2 cautious people slowly walked out from the dense forest. Their faces were full of fear, and their eyes were wide open. Just the pressure from the Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Fire Beast King was enough to make them prostrate on the ground. Their hearts and souls were about to shatter. "Zhang Dan, Sun Hao?" Su Yi narrowed his eyes. When he saw their faces, he still could not believe it. Sect Master. The two were actually Zhang Dan and Sun Hao, who had gone to Su Yi's Bawang sect to join the Shadow Hall. When they saw Su Yi, they ran to Su Yi's side. Their eyes were red and tears were flowing. "Sect Master, we've finally found you." Zhang Dan and Sun Hao cried as they hugged each other. It was as if they had found a long-lost relative. The Duanmu Qingtian, the blood jasper spirit ginseng, and the golden fire beast king looked at each other in confusion. Did these two have some kind of relationship with Su Yi? "Why are you here?" What the hell is going on? Sun Hao wiped his tears and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. His eyes were still filled with joy as he spoke. The Shadow Hall disciples all over the 6 continents have been searching for you for 4 whole months. Lord Merciless West specially ordered this lowly one to search for Sect Master in the barbarian demon forest. I didn't expect Sect Master to be here. Sect Master, everyone in the Bawang sect is looking forward to your return. What? Sui shouted. His eyes shone brightly as his soul pressure shot out, scaring Zhang Dan and Sun Hao. It's been 4 months. Isn't it only 2 months? Sui immediately became nervous. Too many things could have happened in 4 months. What exactly happened in the Tian barbarian continent? The space-time laws of each martial region are different. This is completely possible. The Duanmu Qingtian's eyes narrowed. He had only been wandering outside for a dozen years. It had been a few decades since he returned to the Tian barbarian continent. Enduring the pain in his heart, Sui stood up. A chill surged out as he said in a deep voice, "Tell me, what happened in the Bawang sect? The 9 Stars Valley, the Blood Sun sect, and Hong Qianlong have joined forces. Also, the sects that pretended to pledge their allegiance have all attacked the Bawang sect when they heard that sect masters' whereabouts were unknown. Especially in the past 2 months, the cities under the Bawang sect have been troubled by the small sects." Zhang Dan's face was solemn as his eyes were bloodshot. Sun Hao added, "The Blood Sun sect and the 9 Stars Valley are jackals of the same tribe. I heard that they have a big force behind them, which is why they are so fearless. Although they haven't made any big moves, they have commanded the small sects under them to investigate the situation every once in a while. They are afraid that Lord Sect Master will return. Fortunately, the Bawang sect has always been guarded by Lord Merciless West, so it's not a big problem." Killing intent surged in Suyi's eyes as he clenched his fists and shouted, "A bunch of ants. I think they don't want to live anymore. Chunyao, Bai Zun, Hong Qianlong. If I don't kill you, I, Sui, am not human." He clenched his teeth as a terrifying origin ancestor aura surged out like a volcanic eruption. Boiling lava flowed out of his pores. The aura was like a mountain. Zhang Dan and Sun Hao immediately prostrated themselves on the ground. Sui sized them up as if they were hiding something. "Is there something you haven't said?" Sun Hao and Zhang Dan lay on the ground with their hair standing on end. Their backs were covered in cold sweat as they trembled. "You even dare to hide it from me? Tell me." Suyi's anger surged. His eyes were like lightning as he locked onto the 2 of them. Zhang Dan immediately laid his head on the ground and closed his eyes tightly as he said, "Today, I heard from the people in Barbarian City that the Sacred Mountain Tournament is taking place. Also, it's the wedding day of the 9th Holy Maiden. Everyone in Zhongzhou is going. It's very lively." Chapter 1983. Su Yi's robes fluttered despite the lack of wind as the fire god's aura surged around him. Falling in love under the moon, the mischievous kiss they shared on the streets when they were young suddenly surfaced in Su Yi's mind. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Su Yi's hands trembled. He refused to believe that Lu Ruoxi would choose Yuqi Changfeng or Xiahong House. Sui knew what she was thinking. A voice filled with vicissitudes of life sounded in her mind. 4 months have passed. Even if you have an oath with the Yun family, it has been more than a month. It is highly possible that the sacred mountain thinks that you have died. Qi Feihong's words silenced Sui as a cold light flashed in his eyes. Since that is the case, I will personally go to the sacred mountain to take a look. No one can take away what belongs to me. Whether it is Yuqi Changfeng or Xiahong House, I will make them pay the price. During the Tianfeng ranking tournament, Lu Ruoxi had fallen in love with him, breaking the hearts of all the young martial artists in the Tianyan continent. Everyone knew that Lu Ruoxi was Su Yi's woman. She was obviously challenging him. A dragon had a reverse scale, and those who touched it would die. What do you think? Duanmu Qingtian frowned as a cold light flashed in his eyes. The sacred mountain was also the one who had hunted him down back then. The Sky Dragon sect and the sacred mountain. Duanmu Qingtian would take revenge on them one by one. There is no time, and I can't return to the Chaos region. I will go to the sacred mountain first. Su Yi hurriedly formed hand seals as the powerful aura of the Origin Supreme technique circulated. His divine ultimate spiritual meridians shone brightly. Duanmu Qingtian frowned slightly. Although Su Yi was already at the third level of the Origin Zone stage, he was still too insignificant when compared to a colossus like the Sacred Mountain. Brat, I'm going back to the Command Heavenly Palace. The Command Heavenly Palace is connected to the Sacred Mountain's formation. We can reach there directly. Su Yi's eyes lit up. He looked at the Duanmu Qingtian and thought about how happy the Duanmu Xiaoman would be if she knew that Qingtian had returned. However, he didn't have the chance to see such a scene. He immediately said, "All right, Grandmaster, tell Xiaoman that I'm going to the Holy Mountain first." Then, Su Yi looked at the Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng. The Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng rolled its eyes, put its hands on its waist and said, "Boy, don't look at me like that. I've heard of the Sacred Mountain. I've already plucked a lot of my ginseng roots for you. In this kind of battle, a spiritual medicine-type demon emperor like me can't help at all." As soon as it finished speaking, the Blood Jade Ginseng turned around and stopped looking at Su Yi, and it gazed towards the distant barbaric demon forest before pouting and muttering to itself. "I've been in your space for almost 2 years. There are still some old opponents in the barbaric demon forest that I haven't dealt with yet. Now that I've reached the Demon Emperor realm, I have to find them." Su Yi's pale face flashed a trace of cunning. He nodded. The Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng's words were indeed reasonable. He dragged his tired body to the Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng's side and looked down at its intertwined whiskers that were like dragons. "Grandmaster Ginseng, you can go if you want. Anyway, you can go back to the Bawang sect to report. But, you have to pay the rent for these 2 years, right?" Su Yi stretched out his hand and smiled. The Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng's face immediately changed and it shouted angrily, "Boy, I saved your life. You also said that this is my luck. It's your luck that you passed the tribulation, and it's also my luck that I met you. Apart from that, we don't owe each other anything." Su Yi smiled, and his eyebrows curved into crescents. The Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng was so angry that it jumped on the spot. "Profiteer. You are a profiteer." The Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng was heartbroken. Under Su Yi's coercion, it shaved half of its whiskers. Su Yi was only satisfied when he held a hand full of ginseng whiskers. The Golden Flame Beast King also changed into its original form and crawled on the ground. It was a barbaric beast that was dozens of feet long. Its skin was like a wall of copper and iron, and it shone with a metallic luster. It had an intimidating aura. Roar. The beast's roar shook the sky and the valley trembled. The Golden Flame Beast King's fierce eyes were filled with a scarlet light. Its huge fangs pointed to the sky. Just by getting close to it, one could feel a violent demonic aura that was like being eaten alive. Its thick limbs moved back and forth on the cracked ground as if the earth was shaking. The demonic aura that came out of its nostrils was like a wild beast storm, tearing the ripples in the entire space apart. The only difference between it and an ordinary 5-legged Golden Flame Beast King was that there were a few faint cloud patterns on its limbs. The Golden Flame Beast King's voice was like thunder as it said, "Master, let me bring you to the Holy Mountain." Demon Domain barbaric beasts were able to soar through the air. Their speed was much faster than flying barbaric beasts. Su Yi flipped over and sat on the Golden Flame Beast King's back. "Zhang Dan, Sun Hao, go back to the Bawang sect and report that I've returned. Tell Big Brother and the others not to worry. apart from the heavenly demons and the Overlord Legion, tell them to set off for the holy mountain. Boom! The golden flame beast king's hooves moved and the earth shook. It was as if a thunderbolt had pierced through the 9 heavens. Yes, Zhang Dan and Sun Hao's souls were already trembling. The pressure on their souls was so great that they didn't even dare to look up at the sky. When the golden flame beast king rose into the air, the sky was filled with wind and thunder. The terrifying energy fluctuations were like a bomb explosion, causing ripples in the air. Brat, what is your relationship with my sister? Duanmu Qingtian finally asked the question before Su Yi left. He hadn't seen the Duanmu Xiaoman for many years, and all the news came from Su Yi. The first time he saw the Duanmu Xiaoman, what should he say? What should he say so that it wouldn't be awkward? After a long silence, Su Yi's green robe fluttered without any wind. A domineering aura poured out from between his brows. She's my wife. As soon as Huang Xiaolong's voice fell, a golden light shot out from the distant sky. A huge black shadow as big as a mountain covered the sky, bringing with it wind and thunder as it flew towards the holy mountain. Come back here! Duanmu Qingtian shouted, but Su Yi had already disappeared into the void. Puchi! Duanmu Qingtian couldn't help but laugh. He had already guessed this answer, but he didn't expect it to be true. Thinking that his incomparably powerful sister was conquered by a little brat like this, he had a whole new level of respect for this brat in front of him. Letting out a long breath, Duanmu Qingtian restrained his aura. His eyes were as deep as water as he muttered under his breath, "Stinky brat, little bastard, you actually took advantage of me. Fortunately, I didn't lose out." Laughing loudly, the space around him rippled rapidly, and Duanmu Qingtian's figure also disappeared from the void. Only the blood jasper ginseng, Sun Hao, and Zhang Dan were left for the barbarian demon forest and the Bawang sect respectively. Chapter 1984. Sitting on the back of the gold flame beast, which was as wide as a mountain, and overlooking the magnificent scenery, Su Yi's brows were tightly knitted, and his face was like iron. The river was clear and the mountains were towering. In front of the beautiful scenery, Su Yi recalled the letter Lu Ruoshi gave him. He unconsciously clenched his fists and swallowed the ginseng root in one gulp. Then, a whistling wind blew past. Su Yi's eyes darkened. He sat cross-legged and formed a mysterious hand seal with lightning speed. Rays of divine light rushed out from his body. The pain felt like his brain was about to be torn apart. Su Yi's expression changed drastically. He closed his eyes with difficulty and began to operate the Origin Supreme technique. "Kid, are you really ready to steal the bride? That's the sacred mountain that can even destroy the Li family. Are you going alone?" The iron soulfish crossed his legs and knocked back and forth on his 20th entrance with his withered palm. Su Yi's gaze once again focused on the front, but his mind was still spread out in all directions. With the divine profound spiritual veins and this mysterious space, it's not difficult to take Ruoshi back. However, this time there's also the Imperial Palace and the armed forces of the Bawang sect. Even if the sacred mountain isn't completely destroyed, it's still going to peel off a layer of skin. Su Yi's eyes instantly became cold and gloomy. The coldness in his eyes shot out again. Su Yi no longer spoke and once again immersed himself in healing. His whole body was shrouded in a mystical light and was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. This kid only used forces outside the army to deal with the sacred mountain. Could it be that he has other plans? Qi Feihong's eyes were full of suspicion. Somewhere in the sacred mountain, the peaks were shrouded in resplendent clouds, illusory and ethereal. The layers of mist made it look like a fairyland. The peaks were full of spiritual energy. The exotic flowers and precious herbs were full of immortal energy, making people yearn for it. Two of the peaks were as tall as 1,000 feet. The middle of the peaks looked as if it had been split open by a heavenly axe. The glistening yellow mountain scenery was set off, and the magnificent sacred martial hall was dormant in the middle of the two peaks. From afar, it looked just like a splendid golden screen. The sacred martial hall was the most mysterious and solemn place for practicing martial arts in the Holy Mountain. It was also the burial ground of the holy emperors and holy sages. Only direct disciples and future mainstays of the Holy Mountain were allowed to enter. It was rumored that there were 36 vitality stone veins under the sacred martial hall, which were like palms supporting the peaks of the sacred mountain. Therefore, this place was filled with rich world energy all year round, and when a cultivator was immersed in this place, they would feel an indescribable sense of joy and comfort, allowing them to cultivate with twice the result with half the effort. It was not inferior to those magical secret realms or dangerous places in the world. Today, the sacred martial hall was bustling with people. All the large influential sects and aristocratic forces of the central province had gathered here. The sacred martial grand competition should have been held in the second year of the Holy Emperor's death, but the sacred master had delayed it for more than 20 years. As one of the top forces of the central province, they had been keeping a low profile in recent years. It was only after the development of the great Holy Sun that they began to make a name for themselves in the heavenly barbarian continent. Many guests, before waiting for the start of the sacred mountain grand competition, looked up at the sky and earth, casting solemn and respectful gazes towards the Holy Land in their hearts. With the emergence of the new Holy Emperor, the central province would take a step further on the road to becoming an aristocratic family, so the forces attached to the sacred mountain would definitely take a step further. Everyone knew in their hearts that the sacred mountain, which was secretly competing with the Sky Dragon sect, would be reborn. Awoo! Golden clouds filled the sky, and groups of spiritual birds and flying beasts circled in the auspicious clouds, their beasts' eyes filled with overflowing golden light. Between the towering mountains and precipitous ridges, towering peaks pierced through the clouds, towering and majestic. They were all filled with people, stretching their necks, their eyes filled with the same desire. Those who were qualified to enter the sacred martial hall and could watch the sacred mountain grand competition with their own eyes today were only the distinguished guests, direct disciples, and elders of the sacred mountain. The rest were not included in the queue. Therefore, the remaining disciples of the sacred mountain could only stand on their own peaks and watch today's sacred mountain grand competition from afar. Fortunately, the sacred mountain had equipped each peak with a huge number of flowing image stones, allowing many people who did not have the chance to see the birth of the new Holy Emperor to fulfill their wishes. In front of the sacred martial hall, the guests who had arrived first congratulated each other, and with the arrival of a group of people, everyone cast their gazes over. Look, that's the father of the new Holy Emperor of the barbarian city's Lu family. The 9th Holy Maiden is the Holy Emperor? Hey, that's not right, I heard that she was engaged to that madman Su Yi since she was young? Shh. A guest glared, then looked at Lu Zongyuan and the others, lowering his voice. You dare to mention that person's name in the sacred mountain, do you want to die? I heard that person disappeared from the Tianfeng ranking tournament, and hasn't come out until now. So, this Lu Ruoshi probably couldn't wait any longer and hurriedly went to the new Holy Emperor. Everyone was talking at once, and the guests who came and went cast their gazes at Lu Zongyuan and the others. Inside the Xinjian gate, Situ Luyun led a group of elders of the sect, and was already in front of the sacred martial hall. When they saw Lu Zongyuan coming, they all showed displeasure. Lu Ruoshi loves Su Yi so much. How could she agree to this holy emperor? A woman with an orange veil, her delicate body trembled, and the yuan qi in her hand was about to burst out. Situ Luyun strode towards Lu Zongyuan, clasping his hands in greeting. Standing beside the orange-veiled woman was Su Kuanga and Elder Gu Suxin. She said in a low voice, Gu Suxin was graceful and elegant, her long black hair tied high behind her head, graceful and noble. Her eyebrows were slightly knitted, and her white hand lightly hit Mu Yao. Today is the sacred mountain tournament, you just have to watch. Under the orange veil, the white and flawless Mu Yao's eyes seemed to exude waves of light. She twisted her waist and pouted. Su-yi still hasn't come to an end, and you're so anxious to marry Ruashi off. I feel bad for that little pervert. Awo! With a heroic and vigorous beast roar, the 108 golden unicorns opened their bloody mouths and burst out a roar that shook the world. The huge beasts' bodies were submerged in the misty fog, and the beasts roared continuously. Their limbs were constantly slapping the ground, and the fierce sonic boom resounded through the sky. It was obvious that the entire sacred martial hall had an extremely terrifying space restriction. Even under such a commotion, it still remained motionless. All the guests, including the Xinjian Gate and the barbarian city's Lu family, had their eyes lit up. The sacred mountain tournament was about to begin. An old man wearing a golden robe with mysterious patterns walked out of the sacred martial hall first, followed by two groups of people. They were the elders of the Great Holy Sun's faction and the elders of the Fifth Holy Sun's faction. They confronted each other, not giving way to each other. The old man's eyebrows were high, like a mountain carving. There were two deep wrinkles between his eyebrows, giving people a kind of huge pressure. His silver hair fluttered in the wind, and his cold eyes looked around the audience. Only the sound of a tsunami could be heard. Greetings, Elder Duanmu. Greetings, Elder Duanmu. When everyone saw the old man, their eyes turned solemn, and they didn't dare to move. The person who came was the chief elder of the sacred martial hall, Duanmu Xiongtu. He was the authoritative figure of martial arts guidance for all the disciples of the sacred mountain. Chapter 1985. Duanmu Xiongtu's eyes were sharp and bright like a vulture's. He swept his gaze over the crowd. He didn't say a word and didn't say a word. A trace of arrogance and pride flashed in his eyes, and a powerful aura burst out from his imposing manner. Everyone looked at the elders and deacons on both sides. At the end of the line were the holy sons and holy daughters who supported the Great Holy Sun and the Fifth Holy Sun, but they did not see the main characters of the day, Yuchi Changfeng, Xiahong House, and Lu Ruashi. The crowd began to whisper and discuss, looking at the elders' team with confusion. Why don't I see the Great Holy Sun? The Fifth Holy Sun doesn't see him either. Don't you see that the Holy Sun is not there? That's strange. What time is it now? Is something going to happen again? Situ Luyun and Lu Zongyuan both frowned. Suruga, who was standing at the side, twitched his red nose and narrowed his eyes. What is the Holy Mountain trying to do? Gu Suxin, who was holding Mu Yao's arm, had her clothes fluttering in the wind. She smiled gently and looked at Su Kuanga. Su Kuanga's short body suddenly trembled, and an arrogant and unruly smile appeared on his face. He said coldly in a low voice, "No matter what the Holy Mountain has in mind, as long as Ruashi's marriage is not a foregone conclusion before it comes, everything will be fine." Gu Suxin's eyes widened as she asked suspiciously, "You mean Su-yi? Will he really come?" He disappeared in. Suruga raised his eyebrows. The sword aura around his body was like a biting cold autumn frost. His eyes were clear and cold. He said seriously, "How can my disciple disappear without a trace? If I say he will come, he will come. He will definitely come. He will definitely come." The corners of Gu Suxin's mouth curled up in an evil arc. Waves of fluctuations appeared in her eyes. She was stunned on the spot. She unconsciously tightened her grip on Mu Yao's hands and pursed her lip. "Ever since Eir acknowledged you as his master, you seem to have returned to 20 years ago. You've become the peerless senior brother Su again." The corners of her lips curled up into a sweet smile. Her hair that was stained by the wind and frost shook slightly, revealing her tenderness. Suruga had been staring at Duanmu Xiongtu in front of the sacred martial hall. His ears moved slightly, but he didn't answer. Holy Mountain, at the peak of the back mountain. A white figure was suspended in midair. The man was candid and upright, as if he was a lone pine tree. His eyes were as cold as lightning, and his robes fluttered behind him. His entire person was filled with a mysterious aura that made people want to explore him. He crossed his arms and stood proudly on top of the mountain peak. His eyes shone with colorful light, and his bearing was unparalleled. The man had a puzzled look in his eyes. He crossed his arms and rested his chin on his right palm. His gaze was directed at the sacred martial hall as he muttered in a low voice. That little girl from Tsangyan Palace is really loyal. No matter what, she refused to say who she gave the sword to. However, according to the description of the sword by others, it is very similar to the sword that Master said. I finally found it. When he spoke of the sword, the man in white's eyes trembled for no reason. His unyielding eyes shot out a trace of throbbing. Then, the man's mouth curved upwards. He slowly raised his handsome eyes. There was a touch of simple elegance and grace in them. Su-yi, you must come today. Don't let me down. Whoosh! The man in white locked onto a narrow concave in the back mountain. He stepped on the void, leaving a faint space crack in the space. The man's power collapsed, and the concave flashed a heart-shaking golden light. The golden cloud trembled, and the ancient pressure quickly revealed a gap. The middle-aged man in white disappeared into the void. In front of the sacred martial hall, Duanmu Xiongtu coughed violently. His wide and withered palm slowly wiped in front of him. A huge soul pressure collapsed the world. Under the shocked eyes of everyone, a vigorous voice resounded. Today, the Holy Mountain Grand Tournament will be judged by the Great Holy Sun and the Fifth Holy Sun. With all of you as witnesses, Xiongtu is overjoyed. As soon as his voice fell, Duanmu Xiongtu opened his hands. His wide and thick robe rolled out like billowing wave. In an instant, everyone's eyes shot to the east and west sides of the sacred martial hall. Two overwhelming pressures shot out. The figure landed on the ground. The holy statue on the east side was sacred and majestic. The void above was filled with terrifying golden light. The energy on the west side was surging. The pure pressure rushed out. Spirit birds whistled in the sky between the auspicious clouds. A huge, sacred shadow stepped on the clouds. It was as if a god had come to the world. In an instant, everyone's eyes trembled. The two majestic energies fought against each other. Above the void, wind and clouds surged. Golden lightning flashed. Everyone could not help but feel creeped out. They crawled on the ground and saluted loudly. Their voices suddenly exploded. Greetings to the Great Holy Sun. Greetings to the Fifth Holy Sun. The voices on both sides were so loud that they shook the sky. The billowing sound waves rushed to the sky. The auspicious clouds spread and the spirit birds fled. Two figures slowly landed on the ground. Yuchi Changfeng was standing at the head of the east side. He was wearing a loose golden robe. His long and narrow eyes carried the aura of a king that could shake the world. His figure was slightly slender. He kept playing with the jade ring in his hand that was decorated with golden patterns. His evil and handsome face had a licentious smile as he looked at the Xiahong house. On the west side stood the Xiahong house. He was wearing a pale yellow robe with golden embroidery. His black hair was like a waterfall. His eyes were like stars. His eyelashes were slightly long. His hair was like a knife and his eyebrows were like ink painting. Ignoring the shouts of the crowd, Yuchi Changfeng's eyes flashed. A holy sound rolled from his throat. It was as if the world was suppressed, causing everyone's soul to tremble and their eyes to widen. Xiahong House, I haven't seen you for a few months. Your cultivation has grown fast. As expected of my opponent. Yuchi Changfeng's cold eyes trembled as he snorted coldly. Xiahong House stood proudly with his hands behind his back. His tall and straight figure was like a statue. A domineering aura surged from his body. The aura of an 8th-level origin emperor was like a wild dragon that came out of the mountains, looking down on the world. I never saw you as an opponent. The position of the Holy Emperor is mine. Xiahong House said indifferently. However, there was an indescribable domineering aura and arrogance. Too arrogant. Xiahong House looked down on everything. Yuchi Changfeng had lost in terms of strategy. You! Yuchi Changfeng's evil face surged with killing intent, but it was suppressed by the Holy Fire Elder and the others. The experts present only realized that Xiahong House was already at the 7th-level Origin Emperor realm. In just a few months, he had risen by 4 levels. Only a monstrous genius like Xiahong House could achieve such shocking progress. During the previous Tianfeng ranking tournament, Xiahong House was only at the 4th-level Origin Emperor realm. Now, he is actually at the 8th-level Origin Emperor realm. What a genius! A genius! Yuchi Changfeng has also risen by 1 level. A 35-year-old 9th-level Origin Emperor realm. It is equally shocking. The Holy Mountain is magnificent. The Holy Mountain will prosper from today onwards. Don't forget that Xiahong House did not receive any favor from the Holy Mountain. He was able to reach where he is today purely by himself. Even the Holy Venerate did not teach him. What? Purely by himself? 8th-level Origin Emperor realm before the age of 30? What kind of talent is that? Chapter 1986. Hearing this, other people's eyes flashed with splendor. When everyone looked at Duanmu Xiongtu, Xiahong House also nodded to him. Not bad. Very good. 5th Holy Sun Tianfeng has returned with rapid progress. Congratulations! Duanmu Xiongtu's eyes were full of praise as he nodded continuously. Standing aside awkwardly, Yuchi Changfeng's face twitched. Duanmu Xiongtu's words were clearly saying that Xiahong House was a genius and he was an idiot. Yuchi Changfeng said coldly as he shook his body viciously. His malicious eyes revealed a cunning look that was not noticed by others. He said coldly, Elder Duanmu, can we start now? Hurry up and tell us where the Lord and the 9th Holy Daughter are. Yuchi Changfeng sneered in his heart without any courtesy. After this reminder, everyone realized that the Lord and the 9th Holy Daughter were not there. Boom! Duanmu Xiongtu glanced at Yuchi Changfeng with disdain. Then, he looked at the Holy Flame Elder and the others who followed the Great Holy Sun. His eyes were cold, and there was a hint of desolate disappointment in them as he spoke. Great Holy Sun, don't be impatient. Duanmu Xiongtu's wide robe fluttered in the wind as his figure quickly rose. The sacred martial hall behind him seemed to be magnified dozens of times. It was so big that it could measure the heaven and earth. The sound waves shook the sky as the phantom of the sacred martial hall filled the heaven and earth in an instant. Sacred golden light flashed brightly, dazzling everyone. Holy King's aura. Everyone who was invited looked up at the heaven and earth. Their bodies trembled and their faces changed greatly. In the sky, Duanmu Xiongtu's old voice trembled slightly as a thick pressure filled the entire place. It was as if he was kneeling down to heaven and earth, solemn and heavy. The Holy Emperor has fallen, and the cause of his death is a mystery. For more than 20 years, the Lord has saved the Holy Mountain from the storm. The Holy Mountain can stabilize today's situation because of the wise strategy of the Lord. Whether it is the Great Holy Sun or the 5th Holy Sun, the new Holy Emperor will have the will to carry the Holy Mountain forward and not disgrace the name of the Holy Mountain for thousands of years. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone was filled with excitement, and all of them revealed expressions of reverence. Divine radiance that covered the sky swept out while vast spatial ripples were ceaselessly formed, and it was a dignified and arrogant scene. Today is the day of our Holy Mountain's grand competition. Since the Holy Mountain's opening, there has been a rule. In the Holy Mountain's martial path, the one who reaches the top is the first, regardless of relationship, status, or rank. You only need to fulfill one condition to become an emperor of the sacred mountain. Yuchi Changfeng and Zhonglu looked at each other. They knew that Duanmu Xiong too was explaining the rules of today's competition. Their faces turned serious, and a surge of fighting spirit burst out from their bodies. The sage emperor's position belongs to those who have attained it first. An emperor of the sacred mountain could only be called a true emperor of the sacred mountain with the assistance of the sacred monarch sword. However, ever since the previous saint emperor lost the monarch sword, no one had seen the true appearance of the monarch sword. The holy mountain cannot be without a ruler, not to mention that the holy mountain has been without a true imperial emperor for more than 20 years. After a discussion between the Holy Venerate and the Elder Pavilion, the two of you will be qualified to enter the Heaven Qianyuan Golden Array formation as long as you are acknowledged by the first Saint Emperor's innate Saint King aura. Heaven Qianyuan Golden Array formation? Everyone was puzzled, and Suruga frowned as a bad premonition rose in his heart. Teacher, what is that old man talking about? Mu Yao asked in a low voice as she raised her hand to lift the veil. The Heaven Qianyuan Golden Array Formation, the Holy Mountain's 10,000 years old defensive array formation. It was laid down by the Holy Mountain's first-generation super-experts and strengthened by the strongest imperial emperors. It is the Holy Mountain's lifeline. Gu Suxin raised her chin slightly and her eyes narrowed. Those around her who knew the array formation's power took a deep breath and looked up at the sky. Far away, golden lights flashed, gods chanted, and ancient wind and thunder rumbled, sending chills down their spines. The innate Saint King aura's acknowledgement. Ah! Zhonglu, you lost. You lost. Yuchi Changfeng raised his head and laughed. The emerald ring on his finger was surrounded by golden light, like a vicious scorpion. Evil light floated in the air as he stared at Zhonglu. Zhonglu has never received the orthodox teachings of the Saint King aura. He comprehended the Saint King aura on his own. He's not from the Holy Mountain, how can he compare with our great saint? The elders of Xinghua sect were excited as if they had already won. The old voice slowly fell to the ground, and the huge light shadow behind him still occupied the sky. Duanmu Xiongtu raised his long white eyebrows slightly and looked at Zhonglu seriously. Fifth Saint, do you have any objections? Zhonglu's face was cold. Facing the disdain and ridicule of the elders of the east side, his eyes were as deep as ice. He didn't put Xinghua and the others in his eyes at all. It's okay. Let's begin. Yuchi Changfeng, Xinghua and the others sneered and looked at Zhonglu as if a good show was about to begin. In that case, please enter the sacred martial hall separately. Accept the baptism of the innate Saint King aura. If the Saint King aura doesn't accept it, you will be automatically ejected and be seriously injured. Duanmu Xiongtu stared deeply at Zhonglu, then nodded heavily, and a ray of light flowed out of his dark eyes. Boom! Golden light overflowed and the light bloomed like firework. The bright divine light rose into the sky, and the divine shadow spread out in all directions, causing the void to tremble. Everyone, get ready! After entering one after another and receiving the baptism, you will be transported by the innate Saint King aura to the sky of Qianyuan Golden Array, where the 9 saintesses are. The two of you will find the 9 saintesses and have the final battle. The Lord will personally decide who the next holy emperor will belong to. The winner will be Lu Ruashi's husband. When the last 2 words fell, the eyes of the young people present were burning, and they swallowed their saliva one after another. The silhouette of the 9 saintesses seemed to have walked out of a painting, shattering the hearts of countless people. Su-yi hasn't arrived yet. What should we do? Mu Yao started to panic, and under the orange veil, her brows furrowed and her eyes turned misty. Suruga and Gu Sushin's faces turned even darker, and Situ Luyun clenched her fists. This was the Saint Mountain's internal affair, and the Saint Mountain was not something that the Xinjiang Gate could meddle with. In the mountains, countless eyes were filled with shock, and then, a fierce golden light pierced through the clouds and swept across the sky. Yuchi Changfeng and Zhonglu looked at each other. Yuchi Changfeng's eyes were gloomy, and in his resentment, vigorous Yuan Qi flowed like a storm. Far away, a loud rumble could be heard. Roar! Everyone's eyes were filled with shock. Their gazes locked onto the terrifying black shadow in the distance like sword lights. Boom, boom, boom! A fierce aura rushed into the clouds, and a huge beast shadow occupied the sky. It moved at an incredible speed, and its terrifying aura made everyone tremble in fear. Bulsh *T. Who gave you the guts to decide Lu Ruoxi's future? A deep and youthful voice resounded throughout the universe. A ferocious and powerful aura rushed into the heavens like an earthquake. The mountains and peaks trembled incomparably in an instant. Chapter 1987. The Black Beast shadow was shrouded in a layer of hazy fire. While everyone was still in shock, it rushed in front of them in a flash. Yuchi Changfeng and Xiahong Lu rose into the air at the same time. The golden shadow behind them overlapped, and the surging vital energy was like a mighty storm. Their eyes were as dazzling as the sun. However, Xiahong Lu's eyes were even more profound and gloomy. One was like the blazing sun at noon, hot and dazzling, while the other was like the blazing sun that had just been born, bright and vigorous. Xiahong Lu belonged to the latter. The two of them stood in the air at the same time, looking at the black shadow that seemed to be the end of the world. A thin figure on the black shadow gradually became clearer. His chiseled face had a tinge of youth, and his eyes were red. His vital energy was surging, and he looked ferocious. Who else could it be but Sui? Sui! Yuchi Changfeng and Xiahong Lu shouted at the same time, and the dazzling light became even brighter. It's Sui! It's really Sui! When she saw the young man on the black beast shadow, Mu Yao's eyes immediately turned red. She was extremely excited, and she pulled Gu Sushin's arm with all her might as she whispered. Gu Sushin kept nodding, and her face was red. At the same time, she noticed that Suruga's hands had begun to tremble uncontrollably. Suruga's old eyes narrowed, and the corners of her mouth curled up. Gu Sushin had never seen Suruga care so much about a disciple. What? That person is Sui. He's so young? The king of geniuses? The #1 person in the sky barbarian realm? The Sui who killed the young palace master of the Long family? He's back. He's back. Suddenly, the audience on the sacred mountain was in an uproar. They pointed at the young man in the air, and their eyes widened as chills ran down their spines. Sui stood proudly on the Beast King, and his overwhelming power froze the air. The mighty power in his body surged, and his ferocious aura shot into the sky. His strength of a first-level origin ancestor shocked everyone, and their eyes trembled. The beast shadow was like a battleship that could destroy the world. The young man standing on it was peerless, and his eyes were filled with rage. He was indescribably evil, wild, and unruly and fierce. Chi-La! The golden fire beast king roared into the sky. The mountains trembled, and the energy of heaven and earth trembled. The huge figure transformed into a tall and straight figure, and an extremely terrifying aura burst out from it. It was as if the ancient beast emperor had descended into the world. Master! The golden flame beast king stood respectfully beside Sui. His eyes were arrogant as he glanced at the people on the Saint Mountain with disdain. Gulp! Demon Domain's sovereign beast. It's a revered beast of the demon realm. The person beside him is Sui. He's actually at the first level of Origin Ancestor realm. Didn't he disappear during the Tianfeng battle? Many people cried out in surprise. The auras that Su-Yi and the Golden Fire Beast King had revealed had already left countless people dumbfounded. Hundreds of gazes seemed to have been electrocuted. Exclamations and fearful gasps instantly filled the whole place. Among the crowd, people from Xinjiang Gate and Lu family in Barbarian City were breathing rapidly. Origin Ancestor. How did this brat's strength increase again? Is he abnormal? Mu Yao's face was still covered by the orange veil. The surprise in her almond-shaped eyes had long been replaced by fear. Her mind was shaken. Gu Suxin had quietly wrapped her arms around Suruga's arm. Suruga's aura burst out again like a dragon hiding in the abyss. The wild smile on his withered face could no longer be contained. He said in a trembling voice, "Good. Good. Good." The shock in Siduliryan's eyes could not be removed. His gaze trembled fiercely as he moved closer to him. He lowered his voice and said excitedly, "Elder Su-Yi is the golden dragon of the heavens. Congratulations, congratulations." Su-Yi's return indicated that Sidu Luyun had finally bet on the right treasure. Xinjiang Gate would also walk on a glorious path because of Su-Yi's arrival. Sui? Lu Zongyuan had the lowest cultivation in the whole place. He was only invited because of his identity as the father of the ninth saintess. Facing Su-Yi's demon-like aura that overflowed the heavens, the pressure that filled the heavens, Lu Zongyuan's face had already turned pale, filled with fear. In his eyes, it was hard to imagine that the young man who had caused a ruckus in the Sacred Mountain's examination and threatened to destroy the Sacred Mountain had really come. Moreover, he had come alone. After a storm of blood, Su-Yi was still the same as before. The young man was still the same as before. The whole place became silent because of Su-Yi's arrival. Everyone's gaze was locked onto Su-Yi. Behind him, a roar resounded through the sky. Yuchi Chongfeng's ninth-level Origin Emperor aura was completely revealed. His fiery eyes were also fluctuating. His eyes were as sinister as blood as he clenched his teeth and said, "Sui, how dare you come to my holy mountain after surviving such a calamity? Who gave you the guts to do that?" Xing Huo and the other elders immediately drew their swords and shouted. 7 or 8 figures at the pinnacle of the Origin Grandmaster realm and Xing Huo's Origin Dominion realm stepped into the sky. Golden light filled the air, and killing intent swept out. "How dare you come to my sacred mountain? If I don't take revenge for the disciples of the sacred mountain today, I, Xing Huo, am not a man." The aura fluctuated as a vast and terrifying wind swept across the entire sacred mountain, shaking the sky and earth. At the same time, the elders behind Xiahong House were also furious. Xiahong House waved his hand indifferently and temporarily stopped them from rising into the sky. Presumptuous! The Golden Fire Beast King changed his respectful look. His eyes were filled with arrogance and ferocity. His voice shook the surroundings. In a split second, auspicious beasts roared within the thousands of mountains. Heaven and earth resonated. Endless demonic aura seemed to have crossed the heaven and earth, overlooking the heaven and earth. "Master," these old farts spoke rudely. "Let me take care of them on your behalf." The Golden Fire Beast King's eyes were fierce as killing intent circulated in his beast eyes. Su-Yi waved his hand and squinted his eyes. Seeing his old enemy so angry, his expression was extremely serious. "If a dog bites you, would you bite a dog? Don't you think it's dirty?" Su-Yi smiled slightly. The Golden Fire Beast King looked up and thought for a moment. Then, he nodded his head. Below him, 7 or 8 Origin ancestors at the peak of their cultivation suddenly shouted, "Die! Do you want to die?" Boom! Light flashed, and a terrifying oppressive aura turned into 7 or 8 light pillars that directly shot towards Su-Yi. The golden fire beast king roared angrily as his body trembled. An incomparably powerful and obscure flame halo enveloped his entire body, including Su-yi. Smack! With a wave of his hand, an even fiercer flame flew out and collided with each other across the sky. The sound of the collision that made one's soul tremble resounded through the void. Sparks flew everywhere, and heaven and earth roared. The blazing atmosphere was accompanied by a monstrous soul suppression. Instantly, everyone present was terrified. Those with low cultivation levels even turned pale and vomited blood. Bastard, you bastard! You shall die today. Su-yi, get down here and die. I'm going to tear you into pieces. The flames dissipated, and the terrifying soul suppression tore the space apart. Within the halo, Su-yi was unscathed. His deep eyes were extremely cold, like two endless abysses, staring at the group of Saint Mountain experts who were clamoring below. The experts from Saint Mountain all released their auras. At this moment, their yuan qi was in a mess. Their faces were slightly pale as they looked at Su-yi, panting. Chapter 1988. There was a huge gap between the Origin Grandmaster realm and the Demon Domain realm. There was an absolute difference between them, not to mention that the Golden Fire Beast King was a primordial beastmaster that had lived in the space-time mezzanine for hundreds of years. The Golden Fire Beast King was covered in red flames, and a strong demonic aura covered his entire body. His eyes were arrogant, and there was a hint of anger at the corner of his mouth. Level 2 of the Demon Domain Realm. Xinghua muttered. His eyes trembled, and there was a serious look in his eyes. He hadn't attacked just now because he wanted to test Su-yi's strength. Su-yi had always been strange. Today, he dared to come alone without any extra help. There was only a Demon Domain Realm expert following behind him. He must have some unexpected tricks up his sleeve. Xinghua's expression couldn't help but change when he saw an overlord, a Demon Domain expert, respectfully standing guard by Su-yi's side. His eyes were incomparably fierce, but he still remained gloomy and silent. It's a Demon Domain Realm expert. How did Su-yi do it? A Demon Domain Realm expert was an absolute overlord even among the Demon Venerables. How could he lower himself to be Su-yi's subordinate? Gu Suxin's gentle face was cold. She looked down at Suruga and said softly, "Are you going to help or not? This brat actually dared to come here alone." Suruga's wrinkled face flashed coldly. He looked at the two majestic auras in the sky and turned his head. "A Demon Domain Realm expert is beside you. Don't be impatient." As soon as his voice fell, Su Quanga's eyes quietly blazed. Su-yi really came back as he said. How could he not be happy? At the same time, he shot a gloomy look at Xinghua and the others. His sharp killing intent and sword aura filled the sky. A tense atmosphere filled the void. The two groups faced each other in the air. Terrifying golden light shone. 7 or 8 Origin Grandmasters glared at Su-yi. The divine aura in their hands was as strong as the sea. Yuchi Changfeng stood in front of them. His eyes were also filled with killing intent. He hadn't expected that there would be a Demon Domain Realm expert besides Su-yi. It was difficult to tell his true cultivation level from his aura, but he knew that he was not far from the Holy Fire Elder. With a sinister smile, Yuchi Changfeng straightened his body and shouted towards the sky. "Su-yi, you really are a bug that won't die. You actually dared to come to our sacred mountain to die. I really admire your courage." The people below discussed in low voices. Lu Zongyuan's face was even more ashen. The Su-yi of today was like a god that had descended, the aura of his entire body piercing through the air. Recalling his actions during the Holy Mountain Assembly and today, he brought the Lu clan to witness the Holy Mountain Grand Tournament with his own eyes. He couldn't help but feel a chill down his spine and tremble all over. Ha ha ha! Su-yi laughed heartily, and a majestic aura rose behind him like a god. His eyes narrowed as he looked at the people of the Holy Mountain. You bunch of old dogs haven't died yet, so how can I die first? If I were to die, how would I be able to witness your actions of stealing my wife? Instantly, the people of the Holy Mountain began to curse even more. Crimson light soared into the sky, and all kinds of curses rang out incessantly. Su-yi, not only do you not want to live, you're also shameless. Yuchi Chongfeng sneered. Su-yi's arrogance had already exceeded his imagination. Could it be that he really thought he could snatch Lu Ruoxi from the Holy Mountain? Su-yi, don't be arrogant. Today, you will die here, and you still want to snatch the new Holy Mountain Saint Sovereign? You're a toad that wants to eat swan meat. Arrogant brat, I haven't settled the grudge of the Holy Mountain Academy with you, and you still want to ruin the Holy Mountain Grand Tournament. I won't let you off today. Holy Fire waved his hand, and the crowd was shocked. Some of the elders' eyes were filled with hatred, but Holy Fire was still patient. Su-yi, Lu Ruoxi is the 9th Holy Maiden of the Holy Mountain. Your childhood marriage agreement is no longer valid. Wang Chuanda and the Holy Mountain's Deacon Wang went to your barbarian city to cancel the marriage. This matter is known to everyone in the Holy Mountain. The cancellation of the marriage has already been settled, so don't make trouble. Su-yi had long expected that the people of the Holy Mountain would say this. His eyes flickered, and his voice was mixed with yuan qi, reverberating in the air. Where is the Lu family? Come out and speak. Shua. Suddenly, the focus of everyone's eyes was cast on Lu Zongyuan. Facing everyone's gaze, Lu Zongyuan tidied his clothes, trying his best to calm the surging blood in his heart. He stepped out of the crowd and looked at the void. Uncle Lu, long time no see. Su-yi bowed slightly and said gently. Back then, the Holy Mountain's inspection and the transfer of the Su family, the Lu family had also contributed, so Su-yi naturally treated them with respect. Lu Zongyuan did not expect that the arrogant Su-yi would treat him so courteously. He was immediately terrified, and his eyes flickered with shock. Did Ruoxi personally agree to the cancellation of the marriage agreement by the Holy Mountain? Or did she report it to you? Su-yi's eyes flickered, his incomparable charm spreading out. Instantly, everyone held their breath, waiting for Lu Zongyuan's answer. Today's Holy Mountain competition was the day that the Saint Venerate and Saint Emperor would be born. If the marriage agreement between Lu Ruoxi and Su-yi was not cancelled, it would be hard to say who would obtain the recognition of the next Saint Venerate. Yuchi Chongfeng's sinister gaze swept across the people of the Lu family. His eyelids flickered, and he rubbed the ring in his hand. You have to weigh your words, future father-in-law? Brother Zongyuan, that is the truth. Situ Liuyun's gaze darkened. She was afraid that Lu Zongyuan would say something wrong under the pressure of the Holy Mountain, so she went to Lu Zongyuan's side to encourage him. Lu Zongyuan's beard trembled. Everyone around him was a master that he could not afford to offend. A small barbarian city did not want to be involved in the disputes of top forces. Countless pairs of eyes were like giant stones pressing down on his heart. Very quickly, Lu Zongyuan was sweating profusely. His lips trembling, he gathered his courage and looked at the experts. Elder Wang Chuanda did indeed mention the cancellation of the marriage during the examination in Barbarian City. But Ruoxi did not agree, and I even more so did not agree. There were also deacons who specially went to the Su family, but the head of the Su family did not agree, and the old patriarch Su Yuntian even more did not agree. Everyone could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Even the eyes of the people of the Holy Mountain were similarly heavy, revealing a complex and ruminating expression. Situ Luyun nodded with a slight smile, patting Lu Zongyuan's shoulder. A warm pressure flowed into his dantian, and Lu Zongyuan's expression relaxed slightly. Then how did Lu Ruoxi respond? Please tell everyone. His gaze trembling, Lu Zongyuan looked around, then clenched his teeth and said, Ruashi did not agree to cancel the marriage. Although it was the order of her parents and the words of the matchmaker, but Ruashi also has the right to decide on the important matter of marriage. Whether or not to cancel the marriage, it is based on Ruashi's personal opinion. As his voice fell, the gazes of everyone present turned to Yuchi Changfeng. In the crowd, the people of Shenzhen Gate sneered. The marriage between Lu Ruashi and Su Yi had not been cancelled. In name, Lu Ruashi was Su Yi's official wife. Naturally, no one had the right to criticize her. The great competition of the Holy Mountain was not legitimate, it was not legitimate. Chapter 1989. Using Lu Ruashi as the standard for today's sacred martial grand competition was unfair. Using someone else's wife as a wager was the sacred mountain's fault. Did you hear that? Yuchi Changfeng? You dare to bully me and steal my wife, what are your intentions? Looking at Lu Zongyuan below, Lu Zongyuan slumped back as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. So what? You are the sacred mountain's mortal enemy, and Lu Ruashi is our sacred mountain's ninth holy maiden. The day she joined the sacred mountain was the day she drew the line between you and her. If you know what's good for you, get out of the sacred mountain. Yuchi Changfeng's face twitched as he looked at Lu Zongyuan with a malicious gaze. Great Holy Sun is right. Boy, today is our sacred mountain's grand competition. Sacred Mountain will not pursue your hatred for the time being. Get out of here is your choice. Don't be untactful, young man. Great Holy Sun has already shown mercy. The sacred mountain is not a force you can offend. I have to cherish my life even more. Great Holy Sun is wise. Su Yi will spare your life for now. Don't make a mistake. Leave quickly. The group of sacred mountain elders listened to Yuchi Changfeng's words. There was no point in arguing with Su Yi over whether he and Lu Ruashi were husband and wife. The sacred mountain was in the wrong. Today's main event was to let the two enter the grand array and find Lu Ruashi, the temporary new holy sovereign. As for who the holy sovereign was, it did not matter. Everyone took a step back. As long as Su Yi did not cause trouble and ruin the sacred mountain's grand ceremony, Su Yi's life could be saved for the future. Su Yi scratched his ear, his lips curling into a cold smile. Now it was very clear. Since Lu Ruashi was his wife, he would not allow anyone to touch her, and he would not allow anyone to carry out the sacred mountain's grand ceremony in the name of marriage. Su Yi would personally enter the array today to take Lu Ruashi back. I'll say it again, old fart. Lu Ruashi is my wife. If any of you enter the array today to marry her, I will kill them one by one. Even if the sacred mountain is destroyed, I will take Lu Ruashi away. No one is allowed to enter the golden light array. The rumbling sound of fire was mixed with vital qi. The fierce and bloody vital qi surged in the air. Su Yi's face was cold and his eyes were bloodshot, adding to his malevolence. Yuchi Changfeng and the holy mountain elders' eyes turned cold. The yuan qi ribbons in their hands blasted out again. The arrow-like rays were like dragons and tigers leaving the mountains. In the depths of the blue dome of heaven, a faint golden light pervaded the air. An obscure and enormous aura heavily surrounded Su Yi. Break! Su Yi bellowed. Golden lights flashed in Su Yi's eyes as he pushed his palms forward. Together with the golden fire beast king, flames shot out from his palms, twisting the void in their path and creating cracks in space. Boom! The light exploded, and the huge shockwave pushed Yuchi Changfeng back. 7 to 8 Origin Ancestor Realm Pinnacle experts took advantage of it. Yuchi Changfeng's eyes turned ferocious as anger rose within him. This was a slap in the face in front of everyone. Slap! Slap! A trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Yuchi Changfeng stared at Su Yi in the sky with a vicious gaze. His body did not move at all. Little did he know that Su Yi's last half a month of training in the spacetime mezzanine was not something these Origin Ancestor Realm pinnacle experts could compare with. His body, which had been tempered by the primordial dragon breath, glistened in the golden light and auspicious clouds in the sky. Su Yi shook his robe lightly and looked at the holy mountain elder as if nothing had happened. The shock wave surged above their heads like a wave. Countless people present widened their eyes and trembled as if they had seen a ghost. So strong. How did Su Yi become so strong? 7 to 8 Origin Ancestor Realm pinnacle experts and monster domain experts can block them. Su Yi actually did not move at all. What kind of strength is this? Su Yi must have some external force. Otherwise, he would not dare to come alone. Discussions filled the front of the sacred martial hall. Most of the martial artists had come to watch the show. Su Yi was so strong that a strong pressure filled the entire place. Many people could not help but tremble with shock in their eyes. "I think you are courting death." Yuchi Changfeng roared angrily as his fighting spirit condensed again. During the Tianfeng ranking tournament, Su Yi had repeatedly caused trouble for him. Now that he had come to the Holy Mountain, he had actually slapped him in the face. If this could be tolerated, what else could be tolerated? Anger surged in his heart as a blood-red killing intent burst into his brain. Yuchi Changfeng was suddenly pulled back by a withered hand behind him. It was the Holy Flame Elder. "Great Saint, Su Yi's arrival is strange. We must guard against him." Even though the Holy Flame Elder was very angry, he could tell from the previous 2 exchanges that Su Yi must have some tricks up his sleeve. Even though the Holy Flame Elder wanted to cut Su Yi into pieces, he did not dare to kill him. "What? Are we going to let them trample on the dignity of the Holy Mountain?" Yuchi Changfeng's face was green and red. His eyes looked like they could bleed at any time. The overwhelming killing intent could no longer be suppressed. "Xiahong House, are you dead? Aren't you going to participate in the Holy Mountain Tournament?" Yuchi Changfeng glared fiercely. The 5th Saint had always been indifferent, but now that the enmity had come to his doorstep, Yuchi Changfeng could use this matter to block Xiahong House. Xiahong House had been standing in the same place all this while. There was a faintly discernible coldness in his black eyes. He secretly twitched, and the cultivation of the 8th-level Origin Emperor realm suddenly erupted. Everyone present was amazed. "Su Yi, what will make you stop?" Xiahong House had his hands behind his back. His black hair draped over his shoulders, and his starry eyes emitted a cold intent. A proud and noble aura flowed out. High up in the sky, Xiahong House's aura swept through the storm. Su Yi was secretly shocked, but he immediately said calmly, "I'm not interested in the Holy Mountain Tournament. Bring out Lu Ruashi's palanquin, and I won't wash the Holy Mountain with blood today." "Wash the Holy Mountain with blood?" Xiahong House said softly. His eyes shot out radiance, and the coldness permeated the heaven and earth. "I'm afraid you aren't qualified to destroy the Holy Mountain. The Holy Mountain's foundation isn't something you can pry into. Today, if you don't cause trouble, I'll let you leave safely. In addition, I must obtain the Holy Emperor's position. If the 9th Saint has no intention of being with me, I'll definitely fulfill your wish. Don't worry about this." This was already the biggest promise the 5th Saint had given. Compared to the 1st Saint, the 5th Saint was extremely sincere and sincere. The martial artists below nodded. This was already the best outcome, and also the biggest concession the Holy Mountain had made to this valiant young man. The Holy Mountain Tournament is only held once every 20 years. There can't be any mistakes in the selection of the Holy Emperor. Xinghua said softly behind Yuchi Changfeng as if he had agreed. In the corner of the crowd, a fiery red figure took a step back. Her eyes were hazy, and her sexy curves were like a water snake. However, they were faintly trembling, which made her look even more pitiful. Su Yi pushed his palm forward. He seemed a little impatient, but there was a crafty glint in his eyes. Xiahong House, I thought you were a smart person, but it turns out that you're also a fool. A complete fool. Chapter 1990. Xiahong Lu frowned. He, who had always been arrogant, suddenly became serious. Then, a firm voice resounded in the air. Old fogies of the holy mountain, listen up. My life is in my own hands. I can do whatever I want in the sea of blood and the mountain of knives. My life is something that I have earned myself. Don't pretend to be a saint in front of me. Spare my life. This is ridiculous. His eyes glowed red. Su-yi exuded a terrifying murderous aura. Rays of blood-red light pierced through the sky. After a pause, Su-yi said in a clear voice, I'm here to marry you. I'm here to marry her. You didn't give Lu Ruashi to me. I went up the mountain and married her fair and square. Boom! In the next second, Su-yi swept his gaze across the crowd and laughed hysterically. His laughter was mixed with vitality, and it resounded in the sky. An ancient aura swept across the sky. His murderous aura and blood chi condensed. The spiritual pressure of an advanced fourth-grade soul was poured into the sound wave. Along with his laughter, it suppressed everyone. The expressions of the elders of the holy mountain changed. Even Yuchi Chongfeng and Xiahong Lu's vitality was in chaos. They were surprised. This was not a pressure that a first-level origin ancestor martial artist could release. Not to mention the people who were trembling in fear. Su-yi was strong. He was stronger than they had imagined. Su-yi's laughter stopped abruptly. His eyes were as venomous as a snake as he stared at the crowd. Now I have two choices for you. Send Lu Ruashi to me, or I'll wash the holy mountain with blood and bring my wife down. From now on, the holy mountain will no longer be infamous in the sky barbarian world. Su-yi's deep eyes were filled with coldness. His robes and black hair fluttered in the wind. His murderous aura surged and froze the air around him. When his words spread in the air, the hearts of many origin ancestor martial artists and elders surged. Their bodies trembled uncontrollably. Su-yi had always been arrogant. He would do what he said. Since he dared to come alone today, he must have taken precautions. Everyone had the same thought. Today's grand competition of the Holy Mountain was going to be a disaster. Arrogant. Bastard. I swear I'm not human if I don't kill you. Too arrogant. Little brat, do you really think that the Holy Mountain is afraid of you? Su-yi, you bastard, get the hell down here. After recovering from their astonishment, the Holy Mountain elders began to curse loudly. Even the elders of the 5 Holy Sons faction looked at the arrogant Su-yi in the sky with a solemn expression. So, Xiahong Lu's eyes narrowed slightly. Her gaze was unwavering as she said indifferently, You're clearly not allowing the sacred mountain path. I won't give you a way out. Su-yi's eyes shone brightly. You're not enough. Su-yi, we can be considered friends, so don't make things difficult for me. Xiahong Lu's eyes were moved, but there was a small ripple in the depths of her eyes. The young man in front of him had a glorious demeanor that illuminated the world. He was invincible among his peers and had an invincible demeanor. Yet, he wanted to rely on his own strength to contend against a sect that had existed for 10,000 years. This was undoubtedly the stupidest decision. Then, will I be enough? An extremely delicate female voice drifted down from the sky. Within the hazy golden light, a clear figure spun, and a wave of icy coldness filled the entire area. Auspicious clouds surged, and an icy blue spatial ripple formed between the clouds. The corner of Su-yi's mouth twitched inwardly. It was as if a blue crystal on the peak of a snowy mountain had drifted into the mortal world, instantly shaking the void. The extreme coldness caused everyone's soul to tremble, and a kind of soul-shaking pressure made everyone unable to breathe. Suddenly, a moon-white figure slowly descended from the icy blue crack. The light blue silk thread was engraved with the moonlight and starlight. A skirt that was opened from the waist revealed the white curve of her body. A black belt was casually tied around her waist, outlining her soft and boneless waist. Her figure was graceful. This woman was simply too beautiful. She was so beautiful that any man in the world would fall for her with a single glance. Her hair was black and shiny, like a waterfall pouring down from the sky. She was graceful and charming, just like warm jade. Her eyes were bright, her eyebrows were like wisps of smoke, and her neck was elegant. Her lips were red without any lipstick, and her skin was white without any makeup. Her body was surrounded by a ribbon that fluttered with the wind. She looked like a drunken fairy. So beautiful. Who is this? How can there be such a beautiful woman in the world? I'm not dreaming, am I? Oh my God! Everyone stared at the fairy-like woman in the sky as she slowly descended. The surrounding spiritual pressure filled the air, and the fragrance overflowed. The peaks of the holy mountain were like a fairyland, intoxicating. As the woman moved gracefully, her beautiful hair fluttered behind her. Her almond-shaped eyes were cold. Looking at Sue-Yi standing in the void from afar, her clear eyes suddenly burst out like fireworks. Her body trembled slightly, adding to her beauty. "Xiaoman," Sui called out softly. When they were in the space-time mezzanine, he had hoped countless times to bring the Duanmu Qingtian back to the Duanmu Xiaoman. He had also thought countless times about what he should say when the siblings reunited, but he didn't expect that he wouldn't see it in the end. Countless people below the scene opened their mouths wide. It turned out that the beautiful woman who looked like a fairy in a painting, like a snow lotus on the mountain peak, was actually the current leader of the imperial palace, the imperial goddess. "Didn't you come back to see me first?" Duanmu Xiaoman's beautiful face was cold and beautiful, and her beautiful eyes were filled with restrained tears. Sue-Yi sighed bitterly and said embarrassedly, "It was too late, so I..." Before he finished speaking, Sue-Yi's lips were kissed by soft and tender lips. The warmth of a lotus flower dripping with water instantly enveloped Sue-Yi. Above the void, the skinny young man was wild and unruly, and the goddess had an extraordinary temperament, like a fairy in the heavens. The two of them complemented each other, and were a match made in heaven. "Xiaoman." Sue-Yi raised his sword-like eyebrows, and his eyes instantly widened. The Duanmu Xiaoman in his eyes was like a young girl who opened her heart, full of passion and captivating. The tender lips parted as soon as they touched. The Duanmu Xiaoman's figure was now even more exquisite and captivating. Her moon-like eyes flickered with a misty light. Staring at Sue-Yi and pursing her red lips, the Duanmu Xiaoman's snow-white lotus arms were still wrapped around Sue-Yi's neck. Their eyes met, and if it was anyone else, they would have long been in paradise. "Promise me, don't leave me again, okay?" Sue-Yi was a little absent-minded, and then he nodded. The beautiful figure in his eyes was incomparably exquisite, and his heart skipped a beat again. The originally cold woman finally opened her heart, and Sue-Yi listened carefully to the Duanmu Xiaoman's words. "In the past, I was always alone, and I believed that I could do everything well alone. It was you who let me know the beauty of this world, and my world is only complete with you. Sue-Yi, from now on, I will accompany you on any path, and I will adhere to any decision you make. The people you hate, I hate. The people you hate, I will destroy them into ashes." Chapter 1991. On Sue-Yi's resolute face, a pair of incomparably deep starry eyes trembled for a moment. He smiled and stretched out his arm to touch Duanmu Xiaoman's face, his eyes full of love. To have a completely new person to place his love on, this feeling was really good. "Silly Monere, with me here, you won't have to worry about me anymore. What I promised you, I will do. It's just that these people here have an irreconcilable enmity with me. Once I bring Ruashi back, I will personally destroy them and give Holy Mountain to you, okay? Give birth to a few fat boys for me here. Duanmu Xiaoman's lips curved upwards, her nose and jade-like cheeks filled with happiness. She whispered timidly, Yutian Palace is enough, as long as you are here, anywhere is good. Under the thick affection, the large number of cultivators below were shocked. Yutian Goddess was in Su Yi's arms. What kind of experience was this? Countless young cultivators were filled with heartbreak, so sad that they were about to die. Su Yi was hugging Yutian Goddess, and even wanted to marry the 9th saintess of Holy Mountain. How could these young cultivators of Central State live? How could the gap between people be so big? Impudent, arrogant dog, you dare to tarnish my Holy Mountain's sacred ground, you must be killed. Everyone has the right to kill you, Su Yi. You won't be able to leave Holy Mountain alive today. Don't go too far. Su Yi. This old man will take your life. Not only did he want to destroy Holy Mountain, he also wanted to use Holy Mountain as his own residence. What kind of humiliation was this? One of the Holy Mountain elders finally couldn't endure it any longer. A golden light shot out from his hand, and he rushed out like a humanoid beast. Boom! Duanmu Xiaoman was nestled in Su Yi's arms, her eyes closed and her hand gently raised. There wasn't even any yuan qi fluctuation in the air, only the sound of ice crystals exploding could be heard. A violent ice crystal storm floated down from the air, instantly freezing everyone. The Holy Mountain Elder was frozen in ice, still in a charging state. Pung! The ice crystals exploded, blood mist filled the ice. A first-generation elder had died in front of everyone. What? Elder Xing Hua's expression changed instantly. In front of a half-step Yuan Tian expert, a peak origin ancestor was as weak as a piece of trash. A monstrous pressure filled the air, and the tense atmosphere immediately calmed down. The ferocious atmosphere in front of the heavenly goddess was extremely strange. Su Yi chuckled. Flies are noisy. You overestimate yourself. Yuchi Changfeng and Zhuhonglu retreated rapidly. Among those present, only Xing Huo was the supreme elder. His fiery red robe fluttered slightly as he roared at the sky with a solemn expression. Palace Master Duanmu, are you declaring war on the sacred mountain? Duanmu Xiaoman opened her eyes and stood up. She looked coldly at the holy flame and said in a low voice, So what if we start a war? Do you want to die again? As soon as he said that, Xing Hua felt a bit embarrassed. He put on a fake smile and said, You are a half-step Yuan Tian stage cultivator. Are you here to help Su Yi steal his wife? Su Yi, aren't you afraid that you'll become a laughingstock if this gets out? You don't have the qualifications to challenge the sacred mountain, so you want the goddess to help you? Boom! Suddenly, from the icy blue crack behind him, old figures rushed out. Their terrifying auras froze the void and fluctuated continuously. Immediately, the sacred mountain's winds and clouds surged. It was extremely terrifying. Do I have the qualifications? Old man Xing Hua, do you think I have the qualifications? The 10 elders of the heavenly palace are all here. The sacred mountain has been well since we last met. Everyone's eyes trembled again. The sacred mountain's grand competition had turned into a battle between gods and demons. They lined up in a row in the void, and a vast pressure pressed down on the world. Everyone's eyes were already filled with shock to the extreme. The violent fluctuations distorted heaven and earth. Waves of powerful pressure were enough to shake mountains and rivers and tear the earth apart. Gue, Long Pasan, Luo Wiao and Yeshuangjue, and the others stood behind Duanmu Xiaoman in an orderly manner. Countless vice palace masters, Yen Lu, and the others narrowed their eyes and smiled at Su Yi. This was even bigger than the Tianfeng ranking competition. It was clear to see Su Yi's status in the heavenly palace. Elders, you're all here. Su Yi smiled and swept his gaze across the crowd. The auras of peak origin ancestors and origin ancestors were powerful. In the corner stood a man in a black robe with an oppressive aura. Su Yi's gaze met Duanmu Xiaoman's, and a knowing smile appeared on his face. Su Yi naturally knew that his grandmaster, Duanmu Qintian, had come as well. It's too risky. Su Yi reprimanded softly. Duanmu Xiaoman shook her head slightly and glanced at the man in the corner. She was all smiles, and the frosty expression from before was nowhere to be seen. We advance and retreat together, we live and die together. No matter how difficult it is, I'll be with you. No matter how difficult it is, I'll be with you. With a surge of emotions, Su Yi's eyes lit up and he nodded heavily. In the corner, the man in the black robe trembled slightly and clenched his fists. He frowned and transmitted his voice using his Yuan Qi. Brat, you're pissing me off. Restrain your Yuan Qi and wait for reinforcement. The Heavenly Palace is here for you. Hurry up and release me. Su Yi pretended to have heard it as well, and his lips curved upwards. Everything was going according to Su Yi's plan. Just at this moment, another sharp piercing sound came from below. Su Yi and Duanmu Xiaoman quickly separated, raising their eyebrows to look at the newcomer. In an instant, the figure was like a bolt of lightning. A vast and terrifying aura filled the sky, and a piercingly cold sword light descended like a Buddha light. After standing still, Su Yi exclaimed happily, "Master!" It was actually Suruga who had rushed into the sky. Su Yi looked over and saw Gu Suxin and Mu Yao standing in the crowd. He had been competing with the sacred mountain and had neglected them. Su Kuanga laughed loudly. Her small eyes were filled with pride. Looking at the couple who looked like a perfect match, she nodded her head repeatedly. "Do I have the right? Elder Sacred Flame." Suruga's killing intent condensed again, and he turned to look at Sacred Flame. The grudge between Sacred Flame and Suruga had to be explained from the Sacred Martial Arts Assembly. Sacred Flame had dared to bully his disciple. In Suruga's mind, Sacred Flame was already a mortal enemy. The corner of his mouth twitched. The Yutian Palace's army had arrived. It seemed that 10 Origin Ancestor Realm experts, a mysterious elder, and dozens of peak Origin Emperors and Origin Ancestor Realm experts were already a formidable force. The Heavenly Palace had turned out in full force for Su Yi. Everyone was shocked and dumbfounded. One had to know that these dozens of people were all soul controllers. Origin Domain. Sword Yama Suruga. Suruga smiled and formed a sword with his finger. Sword Qi condensed and slashed at the void. A large spatial ripple spread out in front of him. Suruga was in high spirit. Su Yi, who was standing beside him, couldn't help but nod and praise. The Sacred Martial Arts Assembly was somewhat restrictive. How about it? Shall we fight again today? Sacred Flame flicked his sleeve and looked at the Heavenly Palace members. His cultivation was the highest here, at the 7th level of the Origin Domain. Chapter 1992. Even if all the members of Jutian Palace were here, this was the Sacred Mountain, the undefeated Sacred Mountain. It seems that the Sacred Mountain and Jutian Palace will eventually fight. Although the Sacred Mountain has been without an owner for 20 years, it can't be bullied by others. None of you have the qualifications to destroy our Sacred Mountain's people and destroy our Sacred Mountain. Everyone's eyes trembled, and their hearts were in their throats. It seemed that there would be a battle today. Sacred Fire Elder, do I have the qualifications to interfere with your Sacred Mountain's affairs? Qi La. The void fluctuated again, and light flashed. At the same time, a gentle and light voice came from the void, and the chaotic Sacred Martial Hall suddenly quieted down. The gazes of the crowd, who could not accept the sudden change, trembled once again. They saw a wave surge in the sky. A faint purple figure stepped on the wave and arrived. As the wave rippled, the figure gradually solidified. It was Lan Xiaolian. A touch of light purple, wearing a light muslin coat, and a graceful figure vividly outlined. Her waist-length hair slanted under her soft waist, and people couldn't help but fantasize. An invisible transcendental temperament stunned everyone. Compared to Duanmu Xiaoman's beauty, Lan Balian was light and agile with a gentle temperament. Qi La. Another sharp figure floated down from the sky, like a silver stream of light breaking through the sky. It was very mysterious. The elegant figure faced the broken sunlight, with snow and dust. Her eyes were closed, and her silver hair was tied up casually. A wisp of black hair flew in front of her forehead. She was young, but she already had the demeanor of a top powerhouse in the world. The silver sword on her back revealed an extremely sharp edge. Especially her pair of crystal-clear eyes, deep and bright, as if they could see through all the evil in the world. Behind the two otherworldly women, there was a group of super powerhouses. They were all dressed in the same way, and it was obvious that they were from Sky Sea City. Sword Union's disciple, Duguyuma. Tianlan Fairy Lan Balian. This time, not only the audience trembled, but even the sacred fire elder and all the people of the sacred mountain were stunned. The fluctuations in their eyes had long changed from fear to disbelief. Both families came for Su Yi? Situ Liuyun's eyes were full of fear. Yutian Palace and the sacred mountain were on par in strength, but if the families came, it would be a change in nature. Immediately, everyone present started to keep quiet out of fear. The two beautiful figures in the sky looked at Su Yi, full of smiles, light in their eyes. They were pleasantly surprised. After Tianfeng, they thought that they would never see each other again. When the Spirit Treasure Pavilion received the news, Duguyuma and Lan Balian came together. "Why didn't you say anything when you came back?" Lan Chonglian frowned slightly. She seemed to be blaming him. "Su Yi, you're finally back? We're worried about you." Duguyuma received Lan Xiaolian's words. Her sparkling and translucent eyes moved, releasing a sincere radiance. Su Yi held Duanmu Xiaoman's hands tightly, the corner of his mouth raised. Duguyumo and Lan Lilian's arrival was not within the plan. Seeing the two beauties smiling like before, he couldn't help but be moved. "Thank you. Su Yi will repay this kindness in the future." Lan Balian nodded. Duguyuma, who was standing beside her, was a little disappointed. Her cheeks were slightly hot, and there was an indescribable sadness in her eyes. After a few breaths, Lan Balian's gaze fell on the sacred fire elder, who was already trembling. "Do we have the right to interfere with the matters of the sacred mountain?" Duguyuma's gaze was piercingly cold. Her clear blue eyes were like crystals emitting light. It was moving, but it was also very sharp. Her aura soared and locked onto everyone. The elders of the sacred mountain looked at each other, and their breathing became rapid. The situation had taken a turn for the worse. It seemed that Su Yi was not only supported by the Yutian Palace, but also the other families. Su Yi said that he wanted to wash the sacred mountain with blood and snatch Lu Ruashi away. It didn't sound exaggerated at all. "Little friend Su Yi, can you listen to me?" Everyone's eyes twitched, and an old voice with a slight tremble came from behind. Pushing aside the crowd, everyone's eyes fell on the old man in front of the sacred martial hall in an instant. Duanmu Xiongtu straightened his back, and his wrinkled eyelids moved slightly. His pressure burst out in the entire audience and immediately engulfed the world. Everyone was shocked. Yuan Qi aura filled the air, and the golden light was pushed away from Duanmu Xiongtu's body. Duanmu Xiaoman couldn't help but change her expression. "Peak of Yuan domain," Duanmu Xiaoman whispered, indicating Su Yi to be careful. Su Yi's heart trembled slightly. Elder Xinghua, who was at the 7th level of the Origin Domain realm, was already a Grand Elder of the Sacred Mountain. However, this elder looked even older than Xinghua, and his cultivation was 2 levels higher than Xinghua. Yet, he had been hiding behind Xinghua without saying a word. Sui couldn't help but be on guard. His sword-like eyes were cold. I am Duanmu Xiongtu, the chief elder of the sacred martial hall. Little friend Sui, can you listen to me for a moment? He repeated himself. Sui raised his eyebrows. He also had the surname Duanmu. He looked at Duanmu Xiaoman with some doubt in his eyes. Seeing that it was Duanmu Xiaoman, he shook his head slightly, indicating that he didn't know. Sui made a gesture of invitation. Golden light rose from Duanmu Xiongtu's feet, and he rushed into the sky like a human-shaped beast. Everyone was shocked at once. Today is the day of the Sacred Mountain Grand Tournament. Sacredness cannot be blasphemed. I have heard of the past grievances between little friend Su and the Sacred Mountain, but there is a time and place to do so. Little friend Su just gave the Sacred Mountain 2 paths, both of which are dead ends. I wonder if there is a third path? Duanmu Xiongtu glanced at Duanmu Xiaoman, and then his gaze fell on Sui. His eyes narrowed, trying to pry into some secret. Sui gently tilted his head left and right, and his starry eyes suddenly burst out with a bright light. The vast and surging aura was like a beast coming out of its cage, and the pressure swept across the world like a flowing galaxy. Zing zing! Duanmu Xiongtu retracted his pressure. His eyes were like flames, and his face suddenly turned pale. If you have something to say, just say it. Don't try to pry anything from me. Is the Sacred Mountain a peeping maniac? There was a burst of low laughter. All the martial artists present were a little stunned by Su Yi's arrogance. Even a super powerhouse like Duanmu Xiongtu couldn't take advantage of Su Yi. Today's Sacred Mountain Grand Tournament could be said to be a battle between dragons and tigers. It was quite exciting. With a dry laugh, Duanmu Xiongtu quickly restrained his aura. His turbid eyes revealed a clear light. He nodded at Sui, and a look of surprise flashed across his eyes. Actually, I have prepared a third path. I hope Elder Duanmu won't be as stupid as some people and do stupid things that annoy people. I'm all ears. Little friend Su. Duanmu Xiongtu's wrinkled face like a vulture, and the corners of his mouth rose. Countless people's eyes focused on one point. Sui slowly raised his starry eyes. His deep eyes were like an ancient well without ripples, mesmerizing people. I want to enter the array. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.